So it's more of a favor for Jeremy to get a magic item sooner than 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
For Lloyd to get a magic item
Oh,
sooner than five
I mean,
days.
yeah, it's just if I mean, I forgot it took 5 days. I mean, I still would put the request in,
Um,
so we could just have a timer or whatever.
well, let me put this up here so you guys can see what's going on. This is the route you guys are gonna have to take to get to the next location. The blue line is the amount of time you're gonna spend on the Endeavor. The green line is the amount of time you're gonna spend in the airship, and then from there you have to take 2 different boats the rest of the way.
Oh,
So we
So
have time.
you have time. Um,
but how much is that going to not be interrupted time?
uh,
That's what we'll find out today on.
That's the golden question.
well, let's say if you really focus and don't do much else, you can cut it down by half, and you should be able to find that in here somewhere. That said, you guys are gonna start out by checking the dossier put together on the Sea Spire. And you discuss that first as you kind of set out toward the southern port, which is where the airship is supposed to be waiting for you.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is probably.
Oh, okay.
You're traveling through what is called the 2-day sea. It's the space between the upper and lower halves of the continent, and it's called that because regardless of which direction you go, if you're trying to get essentially from one end to the other, which is more or less what you're trying to do right now, since the Sky Tower was closer to the north, the combination of winds and currents tend to make the trip take 2 days.
Oh.
A particularly good navigator can get around that. Like if somebody's particularly good at sailing into the wind or navigating currents, you can cut that down a little bit. So the Endeavor can make it in about a day, but that's still a day on the ocean, and then pushing the engines again, another day and a half in the air. So you have time to think about how you're planning to do this ahead of time. The dossier, though, is suspiciously light on information about the underwater civilization itself, because while it was known back in the day that there was a civilization underwater, like sea elves and fish people and tritons and water genasi and things like that, it wasn't thought to be particularly big. And what Byzantia did know about it came primarily from the outpost that used to be centered around what is now the Sea Spire. It was more like a mid-sized town. Did I get cut off again? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Yep.
Would like my computer to stop making noises at me. That'd be great. Yeah, it was more like a mid-sized town than anything even resembling a city. It was mostly populated by the races that can actually live out of the water. Because even though some of it was built over the water, none of it was really submerged. So what you've heard is kind of rumor combined with what could be gleaned from interactions with those people, and that's now hundreds of years old.
Okay, I was going to say, how old is this information?
What it talks about more, though, is the fact that, much like with the Sky Pillar,
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Much like with the Sky Pillar, the weather around the Sea Spire tends to get strange whenever someone tries to approach, and so going under that weather tends to be safer than trying to go over or through it. And since technically Byzantia itself ends and becomes like unclaimed land part of the way out that way, it's not a great idea to fly the airship down that way. So what you figure you'll do, you'll talk to the airship captain when you see him again to kind of confirm this. That what you figure you'll do is fly to the end of that green line, the south end of that green line. That is a small city called Flount, which it's a fishing town that does trade with some of the other larger towns in the area, but also offers travel via that water there to a bunch of the different locations along the coast. You should be able to, you assume, get a boat further east toward the Sea Spire. Flount, also being relatively large, is just a good place in general to dock the airship, since it can like resupply there. But you do realize pretty quickly that you are going into this situation almost blind.
Right.
Well, our last situation was blind, so maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we knew basic information, but yeah, it was pretty blind as well.
Maybe in Flount, we could probably gather some more information.
We could see if there's anything along the way. Maybe. I mean, we could see if maybe like the fishing town might know something. But
all right, is there anything you would like to do on the Endeavor while you're traveling by the ocean?
In the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. Well, it's Dowroc will be starting on Lloyd's armor. If there's like on the boat, he'd be starting on Lloyd's armor, and Lloyd would be explaining what he wants him to do. So that steel armor?
the serpent scale. Basically, it's very mobile scale armor. So
Yeah, I honestly think it's like probably the best. I think it's probably the best armor in its category. Frankly.
oh, for sure, for like deck space users and stuff. Like if you have a deck not above 3, serpent scale is very good. And then on that same note, Zach's just going to see if there's basic half plate on the boat, maybe, or if not, he'll just try to pick it up in the city, the fishing town when they get there.
All right, well, you go check the stores where you found some stuff before, and you do find there's actually a couple sets of armor that would fall in that category.
Sweet. So then Zach will go to Dowroc, and when he has time between Lloyd's thing, he'll ask for after the next long rest for him to do his artificer.
He's focusing on that armor, and then he's just like wiggles his fingers and there you go.
He will set a bottle of elven wine next to it and say thank you.
Yeah, touches it with a screwdriver, be like, boop, there you go.
You have Bryn around too. She can help with making.
Oh yeah, she can use that too.
She can do that.
Well,
she could do that, or she could help with the crafting to speed it up.
Yeah, let's do that. She doesn't have the savant, but she can do some arcana, I guess.
Bye.
Arcana check. Let's bring up Bryn. Bryn.
As you are traveling throughout the next day, though, with the Endeavor crew really pushing it pretty hard to, keep pace, utilizing their experience to make their way through here a little quicker, showing off some of the secrets that like a pirate crew might know, since this is, if you look at the central area, there are pirate settlements there in the middle.
Boy.
So like they would have traveled this area before, and they would know how to ride the currents a little bit. While you are traveling, and they're kind of giving everybody little tasks to do to maintain the ship, At some point, probably as the sun is starting to go down again, you'll see Val kind of standing at the bow of the ship, leaning on the rail, like she's trying to egg the ship to go even faster. Seems anxious about something.
Titanic moment. Zack will approach her. He'll ask, is everything okay?
She says, well, I think maybe time between the sky and the surface is a little, it fluctuates a little bit, but if I'm right, and she's kind of, the stars are just kind of starting to poke through as the sky gets darker. She says, if I'm right, we only have about 2 weeks before we hit that deadline.
Write that down. 2 weeks.
She says, we're already going to have to use at least another day before we even set off on the last leg of this journey. I'm just worried. I've been trying to reason out how Blackheart could harness the power of the pillars, and I double-checked it with some, she kind of gestures at her book, some notes that I can recall through my magic book, and I think he might be trying to make use of a alignment of celestial bodies that is said to be at its apex on the first of the year this coming year, just like it was back when King Kairos would have broken the pillar in the first place.
Oh.
If I'm right, well, he could still do his ritual before or after that moment. The further we get from that deadline, the more damage it could do to the world if he fails.
Well, I can assure you that we are going to do everything that we can. We do already have 2 of the staffs with us, and I know, unfortunately, it'll take some time to get to the last tower, or the next tower, but if we can at least get that one, that's 3 of the 7 staffs. After that, we might be able to start trying to confront him and trying to really delay his plan.
I hope so, she says. Because ideally, we would stop him completely. But if it ever does come down to trying to minimize the damage from whatever he plans to do, I just think we need to keep all this in mind.
I agree.
She still looks a little worried, and eventually says, I'm also worried because we haven't run into Johan yet. I was really expecting that maybe when we got back to his homeland, or at some point during our journey, once we had traveled far enough that he thought he might be safe, he would show himself again. Which, the fact that he hasn't, I think Blackheart might have him. I still don't think that person we fought was him. Not really.
I agree. I don't think it was either. But you know Johan just as well, or actually better than I do. And I just have a feeling that he is okay. So I know we will be able to find him, and hopefully we only have the 2 towers remaining. Maybe we'll get lucky and maybe get some news on where, or clues on where his whereabouts would be once we visit there. For all we know, maybe he isn't taken by Blackheart. So he could be trying to also get the staffs on his own, thinking it's safer not to contact us.
That would be in line with how he thinks. It's frustrating. He'd be the first person to tell you their strength in numbers, but then he goes off on his own. I think she kind of looks. You can't really tell if she's like wistful or if she's like trying to hide like annoyance or something. But she says, I think he still believes that any group he's a part of, he drags down.
Well, if he knew what we were doing, I'm not there.
I mean, you could be near, you could be near enough to hear him. I don't know.
Yeah. You're just slave driving in the corner, baking armor and stuff, like as always.
Well, I wouldn't be on the top deck, I don't think.
That's true.
Well, Zackle said we didn't spend that much time with him in the grand scheme of things, but the time that we spent with Johan, he seemed like he was very much a team player, so nothing that he did during that time really, would you say, dragged us down at all. So now I know he's got, things of his past that he might feel doesn't go well with everybody, but I mean, we all do. I mean, yourself, me, Dowroc, I mean, everyone has something in their past that they prefer not to really think about all that much. And Johan, even for the short time that we've known him, has done enough to, I mean, I think at least redeem himself from maybe the sins that he did in the past.
She kind of smiles at you and says, yeah, I agree. From what you've told me, she says, but I would really like to go through some more of the notes I've kept, see if I can work out any more of what Blackheart might be planning. She kind of like says, like, like parts ways with you and heads back to, I guess the lower deck too, where you guys been bunking.
Okay.
To kind of just do her thing.
During this time, though, Lloyd will approach her, and he'll just kind of offer to recharge the ring with a spell if she wants. So
she says, yeah.
So technically, he could do a level 5 fireball. He could do Bigsby's hand. It's kind of what she feels more comfortable with.
She says, thank you. That same spell again would be fine. I liked how it could be used over time, like some of my magic.
So he gives a little smirk and he like touches the ring and then casts Bigsby's hand into it again.
Cool.
So
unless there's anything else we want to do.
I mean, I am good at the moment, so unless Nick's character want to do something.
I'm trying to find like a basic ring or something like that. Would that be on the ship? Like I could ask like orcs, like you got like or element.
Are you talking about literally just like a basic ring that does nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say they'd have that kind of stuff in the hall. So just some simple like non-magical ring.
Dowroc is going to use his ability to do spell storing, and he's going to infuse minor fireball into the ring and toss it over to Val when she comes through the. It's like here. Just come in handy.
We're just loading her up.
She says, "Oh, thank you."
Is that a? Does she have to be like attuned or anything to it, or?
Nope. Not at all.
Oh.
It's imbue an item, and you just use that spell 10 times.
That's cool.
It's an action. It's a spell that needs to be an action.
Okay, cool. All right, so as you travel through the rest of the afternoon and then take shifts to man the ship through the night and just really push through, you come out of what is more open water into an area where for a while, whichever direction you look, you can see an island not too far off in the distance. And after a while, it realizes that you realize that some of that land you can see it's the coast leading up to your destination. And by first light, you are coming into port. You can already see what looks to be your airship. You can't be 100% sure until you get there. Parked at one of the towers. And when you unload here, the Endeavor crew doesn't want to stick around for too long. This isn't the kind of port they prefer to hang out in.
Yep, makes sense.
Just like if they hadn't bumped into you at the other one, they would have been in and out of there in no time, you know. But especially since they're not carrying anything this time, they're not like transporting anything.
Oh.
They wanna head out as quick as possible, so they drop you, say their goodbyes, and then head back out.
Bryn's gonna hug Aylin.
She will hug her back.
Of course she will, because Bryn's adorable.
Bryn's gonna hug everyone but Varys.
Well, that's just rude.
That's not.
Poor Varys. Nobody likes him just because he's kind of a maniac.
Yeah.
It
Scares.
scares you.
You find this port to be, aside from being like mirrored north to south compared to the other one, to be very, very similar. Very like it's built into the steep hills moving up from the water to the mainland, with towers guarding the sides of the opening into the port, and it's just bustling with people. Any race you can basically imagine that you would find in Byzantia, is you see more of them here than you've probably ever seen anywhere else. Busy. Nobody really has a lot of time for you.
Rude.
But you are able to navigate your way, especially if you kind of stick to the outskirts of the city and make your way around. You can get to the tower where your airship is docked relatively easily. I think you guys are good on items, right?
You mean like consumables and stuff, like potions and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my guys are fine. I mean,
yeah, Megan's good with what she's got. I think we're pretty good. And
I do not need.
Yeah, and Dowroc at this point would still be kind of.
Maybe some boots. Maybe I'll buy some boots or something.
You could send somebody else to do it, but you're gonna have to. You're like, as you're walking, you're like,
Yep.
Still like shaping the armor a little bit as you go, trying to keep on task.
There'll probably be boots on the airship. I mean, it's a big airship, and they've got plenty of supply.
They still had several suits of basic armor and stuff for you guys too, that you just didn't need.
Right.
what are the boots for? Another infusion?
Infusion. I'm gonna have to figure out, or just wear them just because I'm.
Is that the one that teleports?
Yeah.
Or something, right? Yeah.
But once you do get to the airship, you are greeted by the airship captain. Did I ever name him? I don't even know if I did. Greeted by the airship captain. He seems, glad that you're finally here. Because you guys, whether time's a little wonky or not, it's not that desynchronized. So like you guys were still up there for a while. He does report though the ship is fully stocked and ready to go, and you're able to pile on, and Dowroc can get back to work properly.
Boyd's like, yes, dance, monkey, dance. Like, Make my armor.
and you guys set out pretty much immediately.
You see the dark circles under his eyes starting to.
And once again, he really taxes the engines and finds like an airstream kind of going in the direction you're trying to go to speed you up a little bit. And now you're in the air. You're going to be in the air until the next morning. If you guys want to do anything else.
I mean, we know what Dowroc's doing, but
Like he could still have conversations with people and stuff if he wants.
yeah.
And like he gets to sleep and whatever,
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
No sleep for Dowroc.
All right. 6 points of exhaustion. Dowroc's dead.
What? Yeah. Revivify. Keep going.
Jesus.
Anyway, you still catch glimpses of Val coming back out, kind of looking ahead, but she doesn't spend a lot of time out of her cabin where she is still studying her book. You do see her at one point writing more in her journal. She still seems worried, but she doesn't really seem to want to talk about it anymore. The couple times that you do try to strike up a conversation with her.
She's just not really having it.
Yeah, like you get the sense that she is concerned, but that she is trying to keep that from overtaking her too much, so she can still get stuff done. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a spyglass? I'm assuming there'd be a spyglass.
You mean like just a common one? Or are you talking about like if there's a magical item spyglass?
Well, just like a common one.
I mean, I assumed on the airship there would be a spyglass, yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I imagine you can find one.
Because Bryn was gonna borrow one and use it as like aim for her, so she can do her max range of like 300 feet. So because now she has.
Oh, or is that like the?
She has a sharpshooter, but I just don't think that how far she can actually see is enough for her to accurately shoot something from 300 feet.
Okay, so you're just trying to role play a reason that she can actually see further.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Gotcha,
That's
okay.
fine. You would be able to find. They would probably have a couple in the map room.
Okay.
You also hear from the captain, though, that from what he's heard, while you can definitely get a boat with a driver to take you out of Flount more and further east, if you look at where the yellow line ends, he got it pulled out of world map at one point, and points and says that Easter Ward, is that what it is? Is that the right one? Yeah, which is kind of the military checkpoint out there. They tend not to, the boat drivers from Flount tend not to go further than that. You might be able to grease his wheel enough to get him to take you further, but you could also just rent a boat there from the trade post at Easter Ward and take it the rest of the way yourselves too, if you want.
I'm going to say we try that. I mean, we at least know the direction of everything of where we're going and all that, right? Like, we know where we're going. We would just need someone to drive us there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then I would say we should be fine then just renting a boat, because I also would like to not put somebody else in danger if they don't, have to be.
The captain. Let's call the captain Darius, because it popped into my head just now.
Yeah.
He seems
I'll
he
try that.
seems to
Good name.
huh?
Your name's Sid. Fuck.
He seems to respect that perspective. He seems to respect you for having that perspective. He also points out, he points to where the orange line ends, and he says that going to the tower itself is probably a bad idea. It's probably better to go there. It's the little bit of land that kind of gets you closest to the tower anyway. But more interestingly, this is something that most people don't know, save for probably some of the people who live out that way. But once you get out there and past the actual border of Byzantia, well, there are some other small settlements of like people that don't really consider themselves part of any country. Once you get out to that little bit of land, there's a settlement there that the people in the capital kind of keep an eye on when they can. It's not exactly that old outpost that used to be there, but they've taken up residence in the part of it that remains. And while they won't talk about it, it is clearly a society of waterfaring people, like ocean races. And the theory, as he's heard it, is that they are the few who remained on the surface to kind of keep an eye on the rest of the world. And if anyone can help get to the civilization that protects the tower, it would be the people there.
Okay. I would fully agree with that statement, and I said that's a good plan forward then.
He says, just watch yourselves, though. While, from what I've heard, I've never been there myself. While they seem peaceful enough, and even the errant sailor who finds themselves off course and then caught in the weather and the currents around the sea spire, those who eventually make their way to that shore, the people there will supposedly help them get on their way. But there have also been rumors that any who goes there to try to pry into the matters of those people directly never comes back.
Of course.
He says, not that I,
of course.
Yeah. He says, not that I blame them. I don't know everything that you and yours are up to on this quest, but from what I've overheard, if they're protecting something that important, their behavior is I think entirely reasonable. Just be careful.
I'll thank him for the information.
He'll kind of get back to his duties, and you guys will make your way through like another night, and by the next day you will be docking at Flount. The ship will actually have to come down most of the way to the ground for this one, because they don't really have like a high tower that you can dock at. They'll kind of lower the ladder so that you guys can unload. Head down to the town, which it looks a lot like Lake Town, like architecturally. Though there is more of like a gothic bent to some of the aesthetic.
Oh, we know Dowroc likes it here more.
Which out of all of you, Zack will probably have heard that some of the architecture over here kind of leans that direction, since if you go up the coast to Black Edge and Blackgate, which are the big cities up that way, they really lean into that style a lot.
I wonder if Blackgate has anything to do with Blackheart.
It could. Zack, having kind of just thought of that offhand, can roll insight if he wants.
I will roll insight since I want. Let's see what I get. 16, same as my passive.
You just kind of recall vaguely that Blackgate works kind of like Dragon Watch, which gets you thinking that it's probably where you have to go to gain entry into the Blackwood, which is beyond there.
Okay. Oh, there's Blackwood. Okay.
Not that you couldn't, enter it other places, but like.
I was like, could you just sail upwards from the orange line and just go the back route?
Sure, it would be really stupid. Because it's incredibly dangerous, and it gets more dangerous the further east you go. But it's possible. They do tend to kind of patrol the area, though.
Gotcha.
Like Orcania would patrol it on that side, and like trying to enter from the Byzantian side, you would see they would have boats on the lake there, or soldiers patrolling the roads. Just because it is dangerous, and also because like it spawns monsters, and so they want to be on top of it if any of those monsters try to migrate out of the wood.
Gotcha.
But you are in Flout now. You can resupply if you need to. One of you guys has Goodberry again now, right? Is that a thing, or am I
we're fine. Yeah, we're fine on food. So.
Just one moment. You continue. I was just gonna have. I don't know if you need some Dowroc or need to make this or not.
Make what? Oh, did you get an item? You thinking of an item too?
Well, I was gonna get like explosive bullets.
Oh.
Yeah, you could find some of those here. They would do enough trade with the military outposts down the way to have that kind of stuff here. Kind of. Oh, we didn't bring enough bullets. Okay, well you can buy some from us.
Yeah.
At a marked up price.
How much is this?
A bullet. I don't know how much.
How many bullets? I think they're like they do. Let's see. Something I wanted to have. I don't think they're on there. Maybe 10 gold pieces per explosive bullet.
Yeah, I think that seems fair. Looking at the cost they want they want for some other explosives, that looks pretty fair. Yeah, so you'd be able to pick up probably 10 of them total if you wanted.
More. Come on, money dude. 10 of them. And 1 to 12. And how much? For 10, 2,000, or like 200. You want to do 200?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Dowroc, after crawling out of his quarters for the last, 3 days.
Lord be like, what are you doing outside?
Comes out, smells like he needs a shower.
Comes up with his arm detached. Goes up to where the Sky Tower goes to the facilities where they take baths and stuff. There's one in the sky, no.
Alright, so after you spend probably an hour in town to get ready, asking around, people direct you pretty quickly to where you can hire a boat. They're like modestly sized little river boats with like one of those like steering oars in the back, and they would want probably 50 gold to take you, just because the waters can be dangerous, also because it's pretty apparent you guys are in a hurry.
Zack will pay the 50 gold.
The driver is not a particularly pleasant guy. He has like a customer service face, and then he kind of just goes and sits on his stool and pretends you're not there. So you guys get to hunker down in the boat for the rest of the day and just kind of sit in awkward silence with the guy. And you find yourself, as you head through that way, passing. He does point out the names of the places you come by. bow end, where he tries not to stop if he can help it, because they tend to not like outsiders, and kind of looks up and it's this dilapidated little fishing village. You figure unless there are people living in some pretty shithole houses, it can probably house maybe 30 people.
Oh.
Yeah, not that big.
And then Longbank, which, unless you're planning to go all the way to eastward, which you guys are, is where most people who travel around here who don't have the time to put in at Flount, this is where they would go to resupply. They're more welcoming than Bow End, and are kind of a center of trade over here in this little eastern area.
No, let's go to the one that don't like outsiders then.
You don't have to stop.
Sounds like
You don't have to stop at either of them, because even from here, looking ahead, you can see the towers at eastward, kind of poking up. He says that is where he's taking you. He's just saying, in case you have to make your way back on foot for whatever reason, just so you know what's there. Other than that, he doesn't really say much. Does mention you could do some fishing if you wanted to, but I mean, just that's pretty much the extent of it.
Bring fine. Bring gives a look, and then see Val's worried face, and then she kind of drops a look.
By nightfall of that next evening, or by that evening, you come into eastward. You can see the it has a pretty big dock for its size. It's not huge, but it's not really small either. It's like a on the smaller side of like a medium-sized town. You can see there's like kind of the central core area is the like guard barracks and the keep and stuff, but then there's like a town with facilities built around it, and they're the ones that kind of welcome you in. They run the dock, the trade port and stuff. Like you could go talk to the military if you want. Obviously, if you're gonna get a boat from here, it would be from basically where you are right now. So it's up to you guys if you want to like go into town and sleep, which you absolutely can, or
So we had 2 weeks. We had 14 days remaining. How many days is passed since then?
you're moving into day 3.
Okay, so that means we have 11 days, like counting the day we're on left,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So you can try to you can find a place to stay here for the night, or you can go ahead and rent the boat. The guy's just kind of cleaning up, and head out now and sail through the night, and you'll get there by the next morning.
Zack would recommend doing the second option, providing everyone is enough rested, which really the only person that's been doing things is Dowroc and Brent, I guess, but
Yeah.
he would recommend, traveling through the night then. I mean, because he'll ask how long it would take to get from where we are to the tower, or like where we're trying to go, length of time wise.
And they said like 5 or 6 hours probably.
Then worst case scenario, we could take like naps or something, but I would say travel through the night.
All right. Well, the boat guy is going to say the current here should carry you most of the way. Even kind of forms a barrier between you and the shore unless you really turn into it. But do try to navigate far enough away from the shore that you don't get caught in the shallow water. Just giving you pointers. And says, but just so you know, one of our boats, it's not really meant to head out that direction. And it's certainly not as far as you're wanting to go. I think I'm gonna have you buy the boat if you don't mind, in case something happens to it, and then if you make it back, I'll buy it back from you for the same amount less the rental cost.
How much are you wanting for it?
He's gonna say that 200 gold for the boat, and the rental would have been 20. So if you make it back, you'll get back the difference.
Okay. I'll Zach will hand over the 200 gold.
Right, he gets you set up. He's nice. He's a nice guy, but he doesn't. He's not really treating you like he expects to see you again.
Yeah, I get that feeling. So
It's gonna take your money and pack up.
like as he's kind of throwing in a couple of provisions and stuff. The kind of thing that he would throw in for the cost of any rental, you know. As he's doing that, he mentions a couple more times that, you know, it's real dangerous out that way. You guys aren't super experienced with this kind of thing, probably. But, like, I mean, he's making some pretty good money out of this, so he's not gonna protest too hard when you guys continue to insist that you need to go that way, you know. And
Cover his butt for a walkthrough.
yeah.
I told you guys in writing, it's like mechanic. It's like, I'm telling you that if you leave this lot right now, as it is, it's going to be a bad idea. So I'm find this disclosure telling us that you're leaving on your own behalf with our warning about it.
Yeah, something like that. But within, like, the next hour, you're on the water again, and it does seem like the current kind of pulls you this direction, so it's not that hard to really steer. But somebody still does need to stay on the oar the entire time, as there are, like, shallow areas and, like, outcroppings and stuff that you need to steer around a little bit.
well, Zach will just take point on the oar just because out of the individuals there, he'd have the most experience with it. So
Yeah, Megan will take a shift too, because she can see in the dark. Also, you know, you guys are pretty good. You're able to make it there by like first light in the morning. You come into kind of like a embankment of fog. Feels similar, even like to your magical senses, to the fog around the Sky Spire. So like, just like assumedly, it's a similar kind of magic, and like kind of like with what you could with the Sky Spire, you can see the tower, and this one looks more like a lighthouse.
okay,
In kind of poking up in the distance, kind of the shadow of it, and kind of as you come around the bend and kind of direct yourselves towards the shore, where you assume the settlement would be that you're trying to get to, you can see that the tower seemingly sticks right up out of the ocean. And the water around it, you'd have to get closer to know for sure, but it looks like just a big whirlpool. That if you tried to approach the tower by the water, it would pull you in and break your boat against the tower. There's no place to dock it. Like, you can't see for sure because of the fog, but it doesn't even look like there's a way, like there's an opening in, at least on this side. So if this tower is the way to the place you're trying to reach, like the other one was, getting into it could be a bit of a trick. As you get a little bit closer, and the fog almost seems to thin out a little bit, you can even see that the design of the tower isn't all that different from the Sky Spire. It's just that it has, it's made of materials that are like greens and blues, with like reliefs of like sea foam and waves carved into it. Aside from the giant whirlpool, doesn't seem like an entirely uninviting place. Though you do... who has the best passive perception? It's
Bryn, maybe.
Bryn, right?
Yeah, I think Brian.
Oh, she has a 21 now. Never mind.
Bryn.
So yeah, Brian.
Bryn is the only one who...
What was that, expertise?
Huh?
Expertise?
Yes.
Is that what the bump was?
Yeah. She took 1 level on artificer and got +2 or +2.
Yeah,
So now she has
yeah, that's better than Johan, dude.
She's a perceptive little girl.
You guys hear...
She wants to see the world, man. She's excited to be here. To see the ocean.
Yeah. You guys hear kind of a low rumbling at one point. It could be like Zack would have heard some similar stuff. It could be just like the wind across the ocean sometimes can make strange noises. But Bryn swears that she saw what looked like a bumpy shell, big, huge bumpy shell, poking up out of the water at one point before it went back down. Then you kind of see that shore. It kind of comes into view, and you see a small village kind of poking up over like the curve of the land. The buildings, like shape-wise, don't seem too weird, too different than what you're used to. The roofs are kind of more like geometric domes than like standard triangular roofs that you're used to. And they use what looks like similar material to what's in the tower in their construction, at least color-wise, aesthetic-wise. But you can still recognize like the boathouse on the water and what looks like an inn, and then like some residences kind of stacked together. And when you reach the shore, you are greeted by a small group of people dressed in common clothes, in kind of the same array of colors. Carrying, one guy's carrying like a construction hammer, another one's carrying like a hoe. One guy's carrying a pitchfork. Workers' tools. They greet you, and you notice that they all have a few of several shades of green and greenish blue skin.
Oh.
I guess Zack, roll insight
Insight.
with advantage.
With advantage. I accidentally rolled intimidation. Don't pay attention to that. 13 would have been the higher of the two.
All right.
I had a 12 and a 14. Higher.
You have because you've spent a lot of time with like fighters, warriors, during your time in the bracers. You recognize that these guys, well, they're trying real hard to seem like they're just townspeople as they kind of help you ashore. They greet you in like a friendly manner. Friendly enough, anyway. They're guards. They're here to kind of protect the town.
Okay.
And when you ask them, when you like introduce yourselves, they kind of duck giving any information on themselves, and keep bringing the conversation back around to how they don't get a lot of visitors out this way. How it's kind of strange to see a boat come in. What business might you have out this way? What brings you here? That kind of thing.
We're just sightseeing.
Oh well, there's not too many sights to see out this way, frankly. Just our little village and that old tower out there that no one ever goes to anymore.
Yeah, we passed that tower, but there seemed to have been the seas seem to be quite more hectic around it.
That's why nobody goes that way. Makes this whole area dangerous. In fact, why don't we get you into town, get you cleaned up if you need to be, something to eat, and then you can look around a bit, and then we'll get you headed back the other way.
Other way, like he's implying back the way we came.
Yeah, he kind of gestures in that direction, you know.
Gotcha. I will thank him for his hospitality, but we're actually...
We've been riding through the night. Do you think we could spend the night here?
He says, well, I suppose the inn would have rooms for you. He's kind of walking you guys in that direction anyway. And he says, best place to get something to eat in town too. So we'll just head up there. You kind of come up over the hill, and you can see the town more clearly. And like, there are people here. There are other people kind of milling about, but they are watching you approach. It's clearly like publicly known that a boat was seen coming in, and they're all paying close attention to what's going on. And you see more people with different shades of the same kind of skin, though their features are a little different. You count maybe 3 different races of people living here, all with kind of a aquatic theme to them.
Can I attempt to... I mean, it's going to be low if I even get the opportunity. Can I attempt to do a history check to see if the race actually looks familiar?
Sure.
Let's see how bad this is. Yeah, I don't recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, you do see like pointy ears on several of them. They don't look exactly like elf ears, but you figure some of them could be elves of some kind. You can't really be sure though, but you don't see them on everybody.
So the ones that don't have the pointy ears, they still have the other skin tone though, correct?
Yes.
Like there's no human looking.
No. The ones without the pointy ears kind of look closer to a more like aquatic toned version of the lightning user from Olympus, who was a genasi.
Yeah. Okay.
You also notice, just from y'all's passive perception, you kind of notice that the guy who kind of took point in greeting you looks like he might have gills.
Bren would not have pointed that out because
yeah,
she's kind of knows not to like.
He's got gills.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bren.
She saw a lot of races in Border Town, and Dowroc had that talk with her to be like, we shouldn't point it out if we see it. It's just not a good thing to point it out. Some people are sensitive about it, Brent. I had to see that, really.
Zack will ask the head guy how long they've been here.
Yeah, we don't really keep record of that kind of thing. We're just out here living our lives. Kind of leads you guys through the door to the tavern. You can see like he's up front with where Zack is kind of at the point of the group, and then the rest of your group is behind you guys, and then like the other 2 guys that are with him are kind of in the back, making sure everybody moves forward.
Bar fight.
We don't leave the probably.
He leads you inside, and the tavern keeper, a woman with similar features to the guy that's been talking, greets you with a very deliberate smile. And
so that customer service smile that the other guy gave us.
Kind of, but there's almost like a nervous anticipation behind it. And the guy that's been talking, he sends her to get you guys something to eat. sits you down. Then he and his guys kind of stand off to the side, and he
watching us.
Yeah, and like he's still talking to you. You can still talk to him if you want, but like he's not relaxing. And they bring you out some food. It's
not a lot of.
it's like some kind of grain cake and fish and some kind of saute of vegetables that look like something that would have been harvested out of the water.
Something that does it look like it's like basic food, like to make us eat really quickly, like something basic.
It looks like the kind of thing that they would pack as provisions or something.
Okay.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, I guess we'll slowly eat it. Just kind of keeping a lookout of the room still and seeing what everyone's kind of doing.
As you kind of settle in, maybe get talking amongst yourselves a little bit, the guys that led you here are going to leave. But Megan gets up and kind of peeks out the window. And while they're trying to look casual, they're hanging out on the street out there. The woman running the tavern, though, isn't unpleasant. The people here don't seem like actively hostile or anything. You just get the feeling that, as welcoming as they're trying to be, you are not welcome.
They're very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Bryn is going to say, does this fish come from the ocean?
The woman says, yes, of course.
I've never seen the ocean. It's like the biggest lake I've ever seen.
She actually kind of cracks a genuine smile, but she doesn't really say anything. She kind of changes the subject to where like they catch their fish kind of where two currents kind of drive them into one spot. It makes it pretty easy, and then just kind of moves on.
So, have you ever had fresh fish? What's the difference between the fresh fish and the salt fish?
Well, she says, well, I wouldn't know, I guess.
Well, you're a good cook.
Thank you. She says, can I get you anything to drink? And he kind of starts shuffling around a little bit, you know.
Water. Is it water from the ocean? Is it gonna?
She says, yes, we get our water from the ocean, but we even most of us can't drink seawater, so we purify the salt out.
Do you use the salt for cooking?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that seems very. What's the word? That sounds very. This is Bryn talking and Nick thinking at the same time. Multi-purpose. Seems very good. Two birds with one stone. You boil the salt off and use the salt as flavoring.
She kind of smiles again and says, "Well, life out here isn't bad at all, but we do have to kind of sometimes be a little clever to make things as comfortable as we'd like them."
I used to go hunting and fishing when I was at my village. Well, nothing. There was mostly the boys that would go out. I was in my room learning and reading and doing things in the kitchen. So really pretty place here.
Well, thank you. We take a certain amount of pride in it. Not that anybody but us really tends to see it much. But then she kind of stops herself. She's talking more about the way things are than she's probably supposed to be, and she kind of makes an excuse and then goes off to fiddle with stuff behind the counter. And after you guys have like, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? She's like out of earshot at this point.
Is anybody else in the tavern just still staring at us, kind of, or watching us?
There isn't anybody else in the room right now.
Okay. Did Megan notice anything about the people standing outside, or?
She says, This is when she'll actually tell you that they're still out there. She said it doesn't look like they're trying to pick a fight, but I feel like if we went out there and started trying to get in their business, they'd try to stop us.
Lloyd will kind of speak up and say, we don't really have time to be dealing with this.
Well,
I'm not saying I want to fight them or anything, but we're already short on time, and we don't need to waste any more time dealing with these people.
Val agrees. She says maybe I could put up an illusion to get us out of here, but the worry then is how do we get to the tower? If we can't get them to help us get there, what do we do?
Did we notice how big of a gap the whirlpool around the tower is?
It is big enough that you guys wouldn't be able to like fly over it or anything like that.
Well, because we can't fly over it because it looks like the tower is in the water, right?
Right.
All right, so Zack is going to head back out, and he says, well, actually, I guess he'll ask Dowroc to accompany him.
where did Bryn say that she saw that shell?
It was on the way. It was while we were passing the tower and getting.
Yeah, it's kind of at the distant edge of the whirlpool.
Was it at the tower? Oh, at the distant edge of the whirlpool. Lovely. Perfect.
Well, Zack since nobody else is in there now, so we can talk freely, Zack will say, we can try to go underneath the water and see if maybe we can find it, but I know that Bryn, who brought it up to us, saw something down there, but if going below the water might be our only chance of getting through.
Megan will say, worry there is if they catch us, I think they're going to try to stop us.
We're gonna make an enemy of us. Maybe we should try to convince them in another way.
What were you thinking?
Maybe we can bring up my image of Joseph. See if they.
I mean, we can try, but I don't know if the people that are way out here would know who Joseph is. But I mean, it's worth a chance at least, because they do seem to be relatives of the elves or close to it, which Johan's family was also closer descendants of elves than anybody else that we know. So it's worth a shot. I'll ask Megan if they're still standing out there.
She kind of gets back up and leans over at the window and looks out. She says, yeah, they're trying to look like they're doing other stuff, but they're clearly still watching this place.
While Dowroc and Zack do their thing, Bryn is going to bring up, when that innkeeper comes back, she's going to start talking about, like, Wolfwood. Like when we met a giant wolf, and then, she's going to say that tower there reminds me of the tower we went to with Wolfwood.
The woman gets shifty-eyed and says, you've seen other things that remind you of that tower.
It just reminded me of it because it was surrounded by water too, but it wasn't. It was like a giant tree, and it was surrounded by a lake. It was on a beach, but this one seems to be in the water, and those whirlpools are really scary.
The woman kind of almost like she's trying to get back on script. She says, "Yes, it is. It's very dangerous. It would be a mistake, I think, to head any further in that direction."
When's the last time that someone is headed in that direction?
And she kind of thinks back for a second and says, "As far as I can remember, no one's ever really gone that direction before. Most people know to stay away."
Did something happen in that direction that caused people to be afraid of it?
Just the danger of the whirlpool, I think.
Do you know of any creatures that are in the water near the whirlpool?
Just fish.
I'd like to try to do an insight.
All right.
To see if I notice if she's lying or not, or if it's obvious if she's lying. 10. So probably didn't notice anything.
No, you didn't.
Flash of genius.
15.
She definitely seems to be avoiding the subject.
Okay. She's the only one in the room still right now, right? That's not us.
Actually, at about this point, you guys have taken long enough that one of the guys from the street kind of wanders back in. He's acting like he's trying to select a table, but you kind of get the feeling he's
just trying to get us to
kind of trying to get you guys to hurry up.
I'll look at the bartender or the innkeeper again. I'll just say, what would happen if we asked to go to the tower?
She kind of
I'll say it loud enough the other guy hears me too.
He kind of straightens up, and she kind of glances nervously over at him before she says that it's a silly thing to ask.
Why do you say that?
She says, "I can't really speak on this too much. Just you should do what you've been asked and head back the other way."
I'm afraid we can't do that. Unfortunately, something that we've come for is in that tower, and that is our next destination. So we don't want to cause any problems or upset anybody, but that is where we're going to go next.
At this point, the guy who came in pushed the door back open, and he's signaled for his friends.
Do they make it in?
They're heading in right now.
Okay. Do I notice? Are they getting more aggressive looking?
Yes, they are.
Like as in fighting, So, I assume the guy that we met at the dock is still standing. Isn't part of the group, right?
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. I'll say there seems to be an issue with us wanting to go to the tower.
He kind of gestures and says, "Why don't we walk outside and talk about this out there?"
Zack will do a glance around the room. How many of them are there?
Now, there's only 3 of them.
Okay. Zack will nod and agree. So we'll start walking outside.
He kind of starts leading you down the street at kind of a slow pace, and he says, "Listen, you seem like
are we walking toward the dock, or are we walking toward like more of the center of the town?"
You're walking kind of westerly, but like the street kind of curves back towards the dock. You can tell up ahead. So like,
okay, so he's kind of leading us in that direction still.
Yeah, you're going the long way around, so he has time to talk to you, but he's definitely still leading you that way.
Okay.
He says, "Listen, you seem like okay people. You didn't come in here demanding things. You seem to be trying not to cause trouble. But the thing is, we can't let you anywhere near that tower."
Why is that?
Because I can't speak on it, except to say that it's a remnant of our heritage and we protect it.
Well, I can promise you that we won't do anything. We won't do any harm to the tower. We just need access to it for our own reasons. But I can assure you that we will not do anything to disrupt your heritage. You just need to let us know how to get past the whirlpool.
He says,
is there any additional people coming, or is it still just the 3 of them right now?
It's still just the 3 of them, but you see other people kind of out and about, hovering around, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And like, some of them look more like just regular townspeople. Others look like they might be kind of capable themselves of fighting. It's hard to tell, but there could be other people around who could also give you trouble.
Okay.
He says, even if I did know how to get past the whirlpool to that tower, I still wouldn't be able to tell you. He says he looks like he's trying to throw you a little bit of a bone here. He says that tower, it can be, if you can reach it, there's a chance you could find yourself in a place that we just can't let you go.
Well, unfortunately, I've already told you that is our destination, so we do not want to cause trouble in the town. We see that you have a nice village here, but we need to make it to that tower.
If one of you guys wanted to show him that recording, this would be the time to do it, probably.
Dowroc?
Well, Dowroc, we'll pull out. Probably use materials. It's probably it's gonna pull out material, the wand stone that shows the image of Joseph, and then the second one of his recording of his voice.
The guy isn't really sure what you're doing at first, but then he listens. He kind of looks puzzled for a second, and he says, I think I understand why you're here, but I don't have the authority to give you permission to go. I'm just the gatekeeper.
Who has that permission?
He says I would have to contact someone further up the chain of command. I'm not even sure who.
How long do you think that would take?
Oh,
A few days at least.
so you don't even know.
Well, we don't have a few days. The other towers that we've been to, because we've been through 2 other towers, and unfortunately a much more evil group of individuals are also after these towers. And the longer that you wait, the higher likelihood that they will attempt to gain access to this tower, and they will not be as discreet as we would be. So unfortunately, we don't have time to wait for permission from your chain of command.
They caused the last place we were in. They caused a riot to get what they wanted.
The other group of individuals will not ask permission. They will simply come here, kill you if you try to resist, and then gain access to the tower anyway. We're asking for you to kindly step aside or help us in at least gaining access to that tower.
He says he kind of looks to his men and says, you have to understand, from my perspective, it doesn't sound like you're asking permission either. And he kind of breaks off from you guys to stand with his men, putting himself between you and the shore, and starts to square up.
Zack will look around at the other people that are there. Is anybody else starting to square up as well?
Yeah, you see one guy pull what looks like the handle of like a broom or something, and another guy grabs like a crowbar.
Does the guy that I'm talking to, the main one, he at least has an actual weapon, right?
His is like a pitchfork type thing.
Okay, like a pitchfork or a trident?
It could
more of a tool looking.
It looks like a tool, but he could certainly wield it as a weapon.
Okay. Lloyd will kind of speak up and will say, well, yes, we are not asking for permission, but the difference between us and the next group is that we're not going to kill you to get access to the tower. And then Zack kind of looked at him. Do they still look kind of like they're coming at us in a second?
They do, yeah.
And there's only the 3 of them still, right?
There's at least 3 more people getting ready to jump in. Megan's got her sword out by now.
Dowroc is going to step up and say, look, we're all on edge because we're on a time limit. All of us are on edge. We've been going for a while now. We've come a long way to get here. We're tired and we're on edge. And this is not the way I think we meant for things to go. I think with your guys' permission, we rest, and then you can start the process of contacting who you need to for this. We don't want to get off on the wrong foot here. We just want you to understand. And it sounds like this situation is very special to you, like it is special to everyone that we've encountered so far of the towers we've made. So,
alright, go ahead and roll persuasion.
Flash of genius.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
15.
He says, I suppose I did say you could stay here tonight and rest. I can't guarantee that I'm going to hear anything from somebody who can give you permission to go further by the time you'd wake up. But I will at least keep my word and let you return to the inn and sleep. Just know that someone from my patrol will be keeping an eye on this place with even the ability to sense magic in case you guys have the idea to try to move ahead before we can talk again.
Lloyd will speak up and will say, trust us, if we wanted to, we wouldn't need to try to hide the fact that we can sneak past you.
Lloyd, please.
Well, Lloyd takes notice of the fact that they're basically just a bunch of farmers with pitchforks, and like their guards are still very like not warriors, and so he's just noticing like, well, basically he's trying to appease them to just like, sure, we'll go stay at the inn. Sure, you can keep an eye on us. When he knows that he could probably teleport right behind the guy and knock him out in a hit.
Dowroc will actually take it one step further and take out the notebook from the Human King and give it to him too and say, here, this might convince them also. This may provide you some more of information of why we need to gain access to the tower also. We came here with no context. This place is obviously so important to you, so we're just trying to prevent something terrible from happening here.
He takes the book from you and kind of nods and goes off to make the call or whatever. And his companions kind of lead you back to the inn. At this point, you guys are creeping up on exhaustion levels, so like...
Yeah, that Dowroc's just... he's been working that magic item.
Lloyd's like, you finished yet?
So they get you some beds that are like... They look pretty standard, but they're woven of like what looks like processed like seagrasses and stuff. They're comfortable enough though. You guys do manage to get your rest. And since it's like early morning right now, you wake up kind of early afternoon.
Down to 10 days.
You're there anyway. We weren't gonna go. We weren't gonna go underwater near a whirlpool.
Well, and when you guys have started to wake up and you kind of filed back into the main section of the inn, the same guy comes in and he says, I haven't heard anything from my superiors yet.
That's a shame.
But
No, that was just me. That wasn't.
He says, I haven't heard anything from my superiors yet, but I have read through this journal and given them all relevant information, and I understand how important what you're trying to do is. He says, I don't know everything about the tower, all of its history, just that it's important. This is kind of, if I'm understanding it correctly, this is kind of shed a little bit of light on that for me. So I would like you to walk with me again, and we can discuss how we might move forward from here.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Look at that. It's a notebook back.
Yeah.
You're very trusting with the notebook.
I mean, we had to give some context. Yeah, he saw him respond to the message, so he chose to trust this man. So.
He kind of walks with you guys. He kind of leads you, not towards the dock this time, but like specifically towards the portion of the shore that kind of overlooks the whirlpool. And as he walks, he says, "Listen, I'm just a gate guard. to put it in terms you would understand. I'm in charge of the people here, but I don't have any real authority. And I live here. I don't go back under the ocean anymore. I wouldn't even know how to get back at this point. And the fact of the matter is that tower is not going to let you approach. I don't know what you can do. Someone would have to open the way for you, and I don't know how to do that.
How deep does the whirlpool go? Does anyone know?
He says, as far as I know, it goes down to the base of the tower. He says, I don't know why you would want to go to the tower specifically anyway. As far as I know, there's nothing actually there anymore.
Yes, but when's the last time that someone's been at the tower?
He says, well, I imagine... And he kind of hesitates for a second to say it. And he says, I would imagine people from where I come from would go there pretty often. There may not be anything there, but it is still a pretty important historical site. And he kind of looks like he's measuring how much to say. And he says, the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna let you in on as much information as I'm allowed to share with my own men. The fact of the matter is, the civilization that me and my people come from, before our families agreed to live here and protect this shore, it's closed to outsiders and has been for a long time. The people there, they can allow you access to the tower or to the underwater city itself, but it's rare that they do so.
Is that who you contacted? The people of the city?
Yes.
How far is the city from here?
I don't know. I've never been there.
How did you try to contact them then? By what means?
I gave a message to a fish and they took it.
Oh.
He kind of gestures at the town. He says, this is all that's left of an outpost that used to be here. Back when the nearest city under the water was still relatively small. And some of it overlapped the land here. When a great cataclysm happened, and I think reading that journal, it must be the event that Mad King's insane rituals led up to. When that cataclysm happened, it blighted the entire forest just north of here, across the water. And our people, to hide away from that, they sunk part of that city. And it grew from there out further into the ocean. But I've never actually seen it. I don't know how close they still live to the shore, if they've migrated further out. My family, they agreed to live here and protect this shore back then. We don't have any records of anything that happened since then.
Are they kind of special fish that you send messages to, or are they readily available?
He says, I think you must know some who can turn animals into messengers. There are just some here who have that ability.
I mean, we could try to travel down in the water and see what we find down there. We might be able to get access to a town that's down there.
He says it might be possible. No one here has ever tried, but I imagine if no one has found them again in all these hundreds of years, they must have some defense against that kind of thing.
Brent says, I think I saw a giant turtle out there.
So I'm sure you did. Whatever that creature is, it keeps its distance, but it seems to defend the tower and prevent people from getting close. He says, I can, I suppose, provide you with some supplies that would allow you to maneuver through the water more easily, potions and the like, and you can take a shot at seeing if you can find anything down there, but it would be extremely dangerous, and I wouldn't be able to guide you at all.
Looking a look here. How long does that last? That lasts that long. But outside of Nick asking, what he said that it was kind of like a messenger, kind of like sending a messenger kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dowroc, well, he took the animal friendship. So if I could charm like one of the fish to lead us to the city.
I mean, is Dowroc going to suggest this? Because that guy might know if it's possible.
Yeah, he's gonna say it's like if I had a way to say have access to one of the messenger fish, do you think that it would be your way to help us guide a way to the town?
He kind of thinks for a second and he says, I guess if we enchanted it to send another message, the magic would take it in the right direction. You could try to follow, use your magic to make sure the fish isn't scared of you and swims off without you.
Yeah.
But as he's saying that, you've been kind of wandering around.
Explode.
You've been kind of wandering around, and he kind of stops in place to say that. But as he's saying that, you hear another voice chime in, and it says, "That will not be necessary."
Oh.
And you kind of look down the street, and you see. Hold on a minute. God dang it! I'll be right back.
I mean, we have proof from a human king that we're good people, and now we have proof from an archdruid of a Wolfwood place that is completely isolated from the world. Like if the forest is there that was corrupted, it's near Wolfwood. So I just took a guess to think that they might know of the area called Wolfwood and how hard it is for somebody to reach there. That's what I took a gamble for.
We do have like stuff from the Human King, yeah.
God, everyone's starting to fight. Everyone's cracking under the pressure. Even Zack.
We have 10 days left. We gotta hurry.
Dawn of the first man. 24 hours remain. We don't want to trample over all the beliefs.
Well, that's why Zack said, like, we're not here to mess with you, but we will.
He will. Even Dowroc was too tired to even sigh at the fact that it would take a couple of days to contact somebody. Imagine like Lloyd standing outside Dowroc's door. Every time he like stepped out in the morning to go get breakfast or something like that, he's like, "Are you done yet?" And like trying to shove him back in when he told him no.
Why the hell are you not done yet, Dowroc?
I much enjoyed it much better when it wasn't when you guys weren't around for this. Is this your revenge for every time I came to visit you in jail? Is this what this is?
I refuse to answer that on the basis that I don't want to answer it.
You saw that potion, that dream potion.
Yep, I know.
Dowroc and Zack, he'd want to keep away.
Lloyd will pop up in Johan's head. Johan.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Johan?
Like, what the fuck?
Vegeta.
I can understand the rest. I can understand you keeping Megan out of the loop. But the rest of them, nah. I mean, look at Megan. Look at Dowroc. Megan's stronger than Dowroc. Physically. Well, most of us are physically stronger than Dowroc. I don't understand how the person with -1 charisma is being the peacekeeper of the party right now. Once again. And the person with the most charisma is giving shit. to every person we meet.
Yes.
Oh,
All right, I'm back. We can keep going, but I need to sign off in about an hour. I have something else I need to do. Unfortunately.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you look down the street and you see this guy waddling towards you.
waddling.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And needless to say, none of you guys have really seen anybody like him before.
Brent's like, he doesn't want to say.
Megan is trying to restrain herself from saying he looks delicious.
Good. Perfect timing.
He kind of walks forward, and he's got a couple of guys with him. You notice them after you notice him though, because he's so weird looking. They look like they're a water genasi and whatever race the guy you've been dealing with is. And they are in intricate. He looks like a very lightweight plate armor with like fish scale patterns carved into it. And the little fish guy will kind of waddle up close to you guys, look you over, and then he'll kind of bow awkwardly and say, "My name is Artificer Juts, and I am the magical advisor to the king of the hidden peoples, and I'm here to invite you to court."
Oh, Mr. Johnson, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, it is.
He says, "The pleasure's mine now," and he kind of hands out a small object to each of you, and he says, "Please attach this to your clothing near the base of your throat."
Oh,
Attach this to the clothing and what?
Near the base of your throat.
Oh, I was just going to cast water breathing on all of us. If this is a water breathing.
Well, I mean, he says there's no need for something like that.
Okay.
Megan will put hers on, and it kind of spreads out to wrap around her like a necklace, and then a bubble appears over her head. He says that'll filter the air out of the water for you. He says its magic will also protect you from changes in pressure. He's like, so hurry up, all of you put them on. We have to be going. And he turns around and he starts kind of like heading hastily back towards the shore.
oh. Is it like for the waterproof anything else? Dowroc's gonna put that notebook in anything like anything that could get damaged. He's gonna suggest the putting in a bag of holding, so it doesn't messed up by the water. If it just covers our head, if that only covers our head.
I'm sure. Val's magic book can protect itself, so she's fine.
Okay.
And,
Dowroc doesn't necessarily need that, but the water pressure does sound.
Yeah.
I
Same
mean-
thing with that. I mean, Zack has water breathing, so as well now. So he doesn't. But yeah, I guess pressure.
Yeah. And Dowroc's lungs, he'd breathe in anything that's even in vacuum of space. It'd be even in vacuum. So
okay, Frieza. And just because I keep forgetting that Todd's here, he gets a little air bubble too. Gets to doggy paddle through the water with his air bubble.
space dog. Space dog.
As you're walking and you're kind of putting stuff away, Eris is going to say, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that either. The magic does more than what I said, but that's the basics. The basics." He kind of starts rattling off. He says, "It also keeps you dry, and it allows you to speak normally underwater. All the things that even some of the people from our civilization can't do perfectly. He and his guys kind of reach the shore. And he says, "Now keep close." And he jumps off of an outcropping into the water.
Right. Guess we're going in.
Todd follows him first, and then Megan.
Todd.
Zack and Lloyd will follow.
The Dowroc remembers the last time he had to jump in some water. And then Brandon's like, does a cannonball into the water. A running jumping cannonball. And then he snaps out of it. It's like, Brandon, get back. Right for me.
And Val will kind of go last. She almost trips off the ledge, but she manages to make it.
What?
Well, she's not very athletic.
Uh-huh.
Once you're all down there, you also find it easier to swim through the current. You're not as graceful as Araveris or his guards are, but you can keep up. And surprisingly, he is leading you directly toward the wall of the whirlpool.
Oh, wow. Wall.
And as he gets close, he raises his staff, and it glows with power. And he says, "Now, stay back for a second while I harness the movement of the whirlpool to open a portal."
Oh.
And you can see some of the water that's swirling along with the whirlpool kind of stream off of it, but it maintains its speed, curls in on itself, and opens a portal in the water itself. So now hurry, follow me.
Hurries.
And he swims through, and you can still see him on the other side, but it's like darker there. Like it looks like it's still underwater, but it looks like a completely different location.
The sky tower.
Do you guys follow him?
Yeah.
He's do an insight check first. I guess I should have done this before he gave us everything.
I mean, yeah, he seems like kind of eccentric and impatient, but like it doesn't look like there's no indication that he's like leading you into a trap or anything.
Okay. Dowroc will follow.
All right.
Yeah.
I would say everybody does then. And you guys kind of swim a little bit longer, and you could kind of see the outline of a like rocky outcropping along the ocean floor that's beneath you right now. It's kind of outlined by like this vaguely bluish green glow. And as you get close to it and you kind of swim past the edge, you see the ocean floor just drops. And way down below is a vast, sprawling city, the biggest you've ever seen, giving off that greenish blue light, encased within, with different sections of the city encased within bubbles, very much like the ones that you're wearing. And you see Araveris kind of change his course. He's leading you toward what looks like a tunnel made of the same kind of magical bubble material that leads down into the city itself.
Mm-hmm.
And once you reach it, you pass through the edge, almost like another portal, but it's like in place. And inside, the water within it is moving rapidly, and it just carries you like one of those like moving walkways rapidly down into one of the city bubbles themselves. Araveris says, as you're still kind of carrying through, you get carried into the bubble, but you're still inside the tunnel. You're still being carried along. He says it's rare for an outsider to be invited here. As far as I know, it hasn't happened in hundreds of years. That makes all of you quite special. He says it'll still be a little while before we reach our destination, so You're welcome to marvel at the city below. I'm sure it's quite unlike anything you've ever seen before. And sure enough, you kind of look over it, and it looks like if there was kind of a strangeness to the aesthetic of the architecture in the town above, this kind of dials that up to 11. You still recognize like the seeming purpose of structures down here, but like there's everything's just eerily a little different. You see mostly people walking around, like outside of the tunnel you're in, but inside the bubble it seems like it's mostly like air. But you also see places where water is streaming down gently from the ocean outside. There's pools where people who look like artificers are swimming, and like even buildings built into those pools. And like the buildings here, while they seem functionally similar to what you're used to, they're bigger, they're taller. And you see like that blue-green glow is coming from lights that are spaced along the roads and situated in people's houses. It looks like some kind of bioluminescence that they harness to light the city. And there's people bustling around. You see like amphibious creatures pulling carriages and people practicing magic in a park with it. Instead of like having trees, it has like tall seagrass and stuff. And as you continue forward, you pass out of this bubble dome and travel through open water for a little bit further until you pass into an even larger bubble and start weaving towards, in the distance, what looks like a massive palace designed to look like it's grown out of coral, assuming that it isn't. Araveris says that is the palace of the king and queen. The king has put the rest of his affairs today on hold so that he might speak with you.
Oh, goodness.
Whatever the I don't know, because you wouldn't know the guy's name. He says a name. You guys don't really remember it, but you get from the context that he's talking about the guy you were talking to up in the village. He says, based on what he says whatever he sent ahead must have got the king's attention. I haven't seen him react like this in the entire time I've been his advisor.
It's it is a very serious matter, very important to your to all of your kingdom. We just want to stop something before it happens.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
And Brenna's she's not even paying attention. She is like looking at all the lights. She is like in that movies, like in the globe, is just like reflecting off what she sees, and she's just enamored by everything.
I can imagine. Speaking out of character for a minute, this place seems more advanced than the places you've been before. It's closer to like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like there's definitely there's still people walking around with like swords and armor and stuff, but like, is it like at Namor's place, pretty much? Kind of. Like there's like a little bit there. You can tell there's some industry here. Like the clothing is a little more modern. The buildings are, like I said, are a little bit bigger. Like it seems like overall these people have made more progress than the people on the surface. But like threat-wise, it seems pretty normal. And as you kind of get closer to the palace, it becomes less like, I don't know, 1800s London and more like traditional. Like they've kept to more of the old style of doing things here. So you see fewer of those lights. The buildings aren't quite as big, don't have quite the amenities that the others do. But it's more like large courtyards and open fields and stuff than like functional areas, you know. And then you stream into the castle itself and are deposited by the water stream into the main courtyard leading up to the entrance of the palace. And Aravarus turns and taps his staff on kind of the edge of the portal into the tube, and the whole thing kind of pops and disappears. And he says, "Had to make that one special, just to get you guys directly here. Now that you're kind of out of the tube and you're in like the open space, you could see there's like water plants, like flowering water plants and stuff, and coral and stuff kind of poking out of the ground along the path. It all has kind of a similar glow to what you saw back in town, kind of lighting the place up. There's also what looks like specks of something hovering around in the air, kind of if you look up towards the boundary of the bubble, that's lighting up the sky, kind of like a full sky of stars. So it really does feel like you're just kind of walking around somewhere at night. And Aravarus leads you immediately towards the palace, with his guards kind of taking up the rear and kind of encouraging you to go that direction.
Okay, we'll go in that direction.
All right. Megan's going to keep her hand on her sword, like on the hilt of her sword, just in case, but she's not going to draw yet. It's just, as big and as impressive as this place is, you're also kind of closed in here. You could tell that's making her nervous. But nothing happens as you are led up to the gates of the palace.
And it's like, while they're traveling, she's going to whisper to Dowroc, it's like, I wonder what they eat.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Aravarus leads you up to the doors into the palace. There's a couple more guards up there. They kind of step aside, and the doors, they're less solid doors and more like branches of coral, and they kind of restructure themselves to move out of the way and let you through. And you come into it's a throne room. It's a royal court. But like the walls are made of a similar coral-like material, and there's more like fixtures in here that have that same glow to them to light the place up. More water features coming down from like the ceiling of the room to each side, with pools of water, and you can see fish swimming around in the water. And ahead of you, there are three chairs, two of which are occupied. The center chair is occupied with this guy, and the chair to his right is occupied with this lady. And they're kind of the king is kind of grinning down at you as he sees you enter, and he kind of stands up to welcome you as you appear.
Dowroc will kind of give his kind bow to the king.
The king will kind of bow back. He says, "How remarkable." He kind of takes a step closer to you, kind of looks you over, and he says, "I'm King Tritonus."
Right.
And you, he says, I'm quite long-lived, and yet you are the first outsiders I've ever met.
We've recently had that similar exchange before we came here, Your Majesty, as we've come from the Sky Tower. First come from the Sky City just recently.
Intriguing. He says, "Well, I knew you were coming, of course, though I wasn't sure exactly what form your arrival would take."
You knew we were coming?
He says, "Yes, of course." And he kind of gestures up towards the ceiling, and you notice that in between the falling water features on the other side, the ceiling to the throne room is open, and you can see all the way up to the like apex of the bubble that you're all under. And above it, in that space, as it kind of descends into the light that's being emitted by the entire city, you see a huge turtle. And he says, "The avatar of our ceasefire. It told me of your arrival." He says, "I honestly didn't know until today, but I guess the avatars of the different pillars of the world can communicate with each other. And it seems that you have finally impressed them enough that they have started advising the others to be more accepting of your appearance." He says, in particular, the avatar of the inverted tower has spoken quite highly of you, from what I understand.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to leave such a great impression on her. She was quite fun to play a game of tag with.
He kind of smiles at you and says, "I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I do know that the ceasefire avatar seems to want me to help you." He says, "And from what I understand," he kind of gestures with the staff that he's holding. He says, "that would mean giving you this."
We're not here to really pressure you. We just want you to understand that what the other group that is looking for these staffs, we just need to take them somewhere to be protected. We don't have any, as we wish to have the staff, the other group isn't as polite in their ways of achieving that. And if it's something in part of your power, we don't wish for you to relinquish any kind of such a powerful artifact as that we know that they are, and it's a symbol of the tower itself.
He kind of looks you over. He turns and walks back up and sits back in his throne and leans over. And you can see him and the queen kind of whispering to each other, discussing things.
You know, this is your staff. Is that what keeps the bubble around your kingdom?
He says, "Oh, no. That magic comes from elsewhere." And then he and the queen start talking again.
That's good news, at least.
Megan thinks this is too easy.
Yeah, I thought Megan won.
She kind of leans in. She says, "Doesn't this seem too easy?"
I mean, if we've proven ourselves to the avatars, I don't know what his relationship to theirs is. Joseph's was almost like he was like almost commanded, like he couldn't do it. Like if the avatar told him to do something, that he couldn't just let it go. So I'm not sure what the relationship with theirs is.
She says, "Yeah, but this guy seems like he's gonna make the decision himself."
I think it's better to leave it up to him than not to, right? We give him a choice.
Yeah, she does agree with that. And
you don't want. We'd be no better than trying to forcefully take it ourselves. So
she says, "True." And after another minute or so, you see him kind of. They stop talking, and he kind of sits back in his chair and looks you over again, and looks at the staff, and he opens his mouth like he's about to say something. And then you hear a voice behind you, coming from the entrance, say, "I demand to speak to the king." And you look, and you see you see this guy storming into the room angrily. The king seems surprised, and he says, "Oh, please, Mr. Blake, I am in audience with someone else right now," and the guy, Mr. Blake, says, "I can see that, but we had an appointment today. If you recall, we were set to hold court so that you could make the decision for my client, and I refuse to have that put off." It says, "Perhaps you've forgotten, Your Majesty," and he says it kind of sarcastically, "but You were intended to hold court today to settle a matter that affects those that I defend. Haven't you caused them enough stress already? But the king kind of waves him off dismissively, and some of his guards come further into the room and start leading the guy away. The king calls after them. I have no choice but to delay the matter to accommodate our visitors. And you see the new arrival. He notices you guys for the first, like, he's seen you there, but he hasn't really gotten a good look at you. And when he does, hearing the word visitor, his eyes kind of light up, and he shakes the guards. He shakes off the guards that are holding him, and he turns to the king, and he looks at you guys like he's forming an idea. And he looks to the king and says, clearly, if you are delaying this matter instead of just putting them up for the day and speaking to them in the morning, you don't want to move forward with this any more than we do. Why not just dismiss the matter? To which the king says, I'm as hurt by this as you are, but surely you can't expect me not to move forward. So Mr. Blake looks at you guys again, and he looks like he's made a decision, and he says to the king, in that case, I demand the right of arbitration. And the king's eyes kind of light up. He realizes what the guy is doing. He looks at you guys again, and he looks at the staff, and then he looks back at Mr. Blake, and then he says to you guys, I will give you this staff, but first, I will need you to go with Mr. Blake. He will explain what's going on here, and if you agree to help, then you will have earned you will have earned my staff.
Anything we can do to help? I hope if it's that important that you give up such a staff for, you would definitely try to help in any way.
The king kind of nods, and he says, he kind of gestures for you to follow, and you look and you see that Mr. Blake is already being led back outside, and another guard comes over and he kind of directs you to follow, and you emerge back out into the courtyard that you came from. You can see a proper carriage out there being pulled by some kind of fish that can fly through air, and Mr. Blake kind of storms into the carriage and only remembers at the last second that he needs to hold the door for you.
There's a lot of people.
Shuffles. It's fine. It's pretty big. Kind of shuffles you inside, and then he kind of sits there across from your group.
Charter's carriage.
With his, well, it's not small. It looks like something like a public transportation of some kind, you know. He kind of sits there with his head in his hands as the carriage pulls you back in toward the city, kind of the direction you came via the water tunnel thing.
Well, Dowroc, no, but the right of arbitration is.
The right of arbitration. It sounds like, from your experience, that they might want you to offer your perspective on whatever matter they're quarreling over.
So it's a third party.
Yeah.
Non-real third party kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You look very troubled, Mr. Blake.
Kind of holds up a finger to you to kind of like hold that thought. He kind of takes a deep breath. He kind of leans back in his chair and like hangs his head back for a second, runs his fingers through his hair, and then he kind of meets your guys' eyes, and he says, "That's because I am." He says, "But I'm sure all of you are wanting to know what's going on here. Please ask any questions you have."
Why is it that we've just come here like almost immediately? We're no offense, being asked to do something very quickly, and we just need an idea of what's going on.
He says, well, it was, I'll admit, a happy coincidence that I decided, against my better judgment, I might add, to storm in and demand an audience with the king when I did. It was purely by chance that I ran into you. I didn't even know there was anyone from, and he kind of looks at you, looks all of you over again. He says, I would assume from the surface here today, I wouldn't have even guessed, wouldn't have even suspected such a thing is so unheard of. He says, but perhaps fortunately, you are exactly what I need. He says, he kind of looks like he's deciding where to start. He says, the idea to invoke the right of arbitration, it wouldn't even occur to me on most days. The fact is, there haven't been any outsiders here. Any third party to oversee a legal matter in hundreds of years. The right is still on our books, but it's completely unenforceable.
None of us really come from legal background. Are you sure that we'll be a good judge?
Said, well,
what you need us to be?
Well, he says, well, that doesn't really matter. I'll admit this is a desperation play, but simply being here, meeting with the king, you qualify as outside delegates. And the right of arbitration, while it comes from a bygone era, allowed a legal advocate to designate an outside delegate to sit in and offer their perspective as a third party on any legal matter of importance. And I would say this qualifies.
Well, we're a little blind. Coming in a little blind. Can you tell us a little bit more about the situation, or do you need us completely blind for that to not skew our judgment?
He kind of runs his fingers through his hair again, and he says, no, I can tell you what's going on, but my words may have more impact once I've introduced you to those that I defend. And he looks out the window of the carriage and he says, but my office is just up the street from here, so it won't be long. You kind of come around a corner and you can see, I don't know, roll perception for Zack and Dowroc, I guess. All right, there are people outside.
We're good.
Yeah. Oh, lots of people. Lots.
I will say, Bryn does notice. She won't say anything yet because she doesn't really have the context to notice anything yet. But she will notice that some of the people outside seem to be kind of following other people around, doing whatever they say. And you as she's kind of noticing this, you pull up to a building, kind of almost grimy looking, a little more run down than some of the places around it. It's taller than it is wide. It built right between a couple of other buildings that are both they look vacant. There's a sign over the door. You can't read it, but he hops out of the carriage and he kind of directs you forward through the door. He says, "This is my office. I used to be a member of the City Watch, but I eventually got tired of maintaining the status quo here and decided that I wanted to see what I could do about changing it. Now I stand up for people who can't really stand up for themselves." And he leads you inside. The building's pretty deep, so it's not like a small space. But he leads you inside, and you come kind of out of the entry hallway around a corner. into an open room with like a desk off to one side, and then like a sitting area off to the other.
Is he the only person here?
No, he is not.
Good.
Sitting in that seating area are two other people who are surprised to see that he returned with others.
6 or 7 more.
And he walks you over, and he gestures to one of them, a young woman, dressed modestly but pretty. She's pretty, and he introduces her. He says, "This is Felfie. She's a member of the slave caste here in the city. And he gestures to the other person there.
Just assume it's spelled that way. Well, I put a PH.
He gestures to the other person there, and he says, and this is her fiancé, the king's son, Prince Tritonus.
Pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty.
Prince says, No, there's no reason to call me that anymore. And he stands up and he kind of walks over to Mr. Blake after he kind of gives the young lady, like he kind of squeezes her hand gently to kind of comfort her as he steps away. He walks over to Mr. Blake and they kind of step to the side, and you can hear him talking. You can pick up the gist of it, more or less. He's asking, who are these people? What are they doing here?
Bryn's gonna say, your hair is really pretty, to Felfie.
She says, thank you. You can kind of hear Mr. Blake reply back something about, these people might be able to help us, tell them what's going on, and he and the prince kind of turn back towards you guys.
So it's dry here, right? It's not like
right.
The Little Mermaid where her hair is like waving around. Okay, I didn't know.
Her hair is kind of moving a little bit, like it's underwater, but it's not.
Oh.
The prince says, "Well, Mr. Blake says you might be able to help. Who exactly are you?" And just because I can, where did I put it? Well, I don't know where it is. The group shot of everybody, but I'll find it eventually.
He says, Prince Tritonus.
He interrupts you. He says again, no reason to call me Prince. My name is Kai.
My name is Dowroc, and we come from the surface of Byzantia due to some importance of world-shaking events that could possibly take place, and we've come to help in any way we can as a favor.
He says, these world-shaking events, what are they? What do you expect can be done about them here?
Well, it's more of a preventative. We need your father's staff to bait a group of individuals away from your kingdom.
He kind of nods. He kind of nods at you, and he says that is quite the story, but I don't have any reason to not to believe it, I suppose. And he looks at all you and says, so you're all from the surface. I suppose I should have known. You don't look like anyone from here.
Oh, I must say that I've never... These last couple weeks that we've spent exploring, I don't think we've ever seen... This is all new for us too, and we don't want to... We don't want to not handle what's going on without care. We're not here to disrupt anything. We just want to be here and get out without causing any kind of, as least as disruption as possible.
And he kind of shares a look with Mr. Blake, and he says, "Well, I think maybe if you intend to help us, you'll have to become okay with causing a disruption pretty quickly. He says, but I'll let Mr. Blake explain that. He still understands the situation better than we do, and he kind of excuses himself and he goes back over to sit with Felfie. Mr. Blake kind of leads you back to the other end of the room where he's got kind of his office set up, and there's some chairs around. Some of you guys can sit. The rest of you can kind of just chill. And he Megan takes a chair, you know. And he says, this matter, it's only now starting to strike me how delicate it might be for all of you. It's possible that you don't even have really any context for what I'm about to say, as your society could be completely different from ours. But here we operate on a very rigid class system. While a large portion of our population lives normally, the rest act as slaves for everyone else. They keep society running down here.
Thinking back, could I have got an insight check on the king's response to Mr. Blake showing up?
I mean, sure. He seemed...
Was he annoyed?
He was annoyed, but he was angry too. Like he wasn't happy about it. He
like more of a interrupting.
No, he definitely
more of an anger, like he was there and period, or just annoyed but anger that he interrupted.
He did not. He didn't seem like he wanted to think about any of this today.
Okay.
Mr. Blake kind of says, but first, before I go further, I'll introduce myself properly, and he kind of stands up and he bows. The guy's pretty dapper. Like he's like there's a certain amount of he has like a certain amount of charisma to him. He says, I'm Finn Blake. I consider myself an advocate for the advocateless, and the fact of the matter is, while those who live as slaves in our society are, for the most part, universally treated pretty well, for as long as any of us can remember, really, they haven't had freedom to live the way they want to the point that a member of the slave class can't even marry anyone without. And that's why we're here today. The prince, in his great wisdom, you can tell he's a little annoyed with the kid. Like he doesn't dislike him, but thinks this was stupid. He fell in love with Miss Felfie and took her to the king's court and declared their intention to marry, and acted as punishable by death.
Oh.
He says, though, of course, only for the young woman, though the shame of the entire situation has caused the king to disown his son. He says, and when I heard about the situation, I will admit, while I do wish to help the young couple if I can, I saw the opportunity to set something of a precedent. Perhaps I can begin to dig a bit of a foothold by which we can begin to put an end to this system altogether by convincing the king to allow these two to be together. Unfortunately, every talk I've had with the king has gone poorly. He finally set a time to hear my entire case at once and make a final decision. That was supposed to be today, and then you arrived. And all things considered, I'm quite anxious to get this over with. Because when I agreed to be advocate for the young couple, in order to convince the king to even hear the case again, I had to put myself in the same basket as the young lady, so to speak. If we fail to convince the king, I'll be put to death as well. So you see, while it is quite unfair of me to ask you to take part in any of this, I don't have much of a choice.
Lord will say it sounds like a great system you have.
I sense an air of sarcasm upon your words, and let me be clear. agree with you. Our system is flawed. To put it as lightly as possible. Things need to change. Yeah, things need to change. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe that.
Well, what do you expect us to do to help?
He leans back. He says, "I don't know. All I can hope is that hearing an outsider's perspective on the way things are here will cause the king to put all of this into a context that he wouldn't have otherwise considered. One that I never would have considered either. I expect to hear from the king's court by tomorrow morning when they expect us to hold court over this matter now that it's been delayed. In the meantime,
not a long time.
Kind of sighs. He says, maybe I could give you a short list of names, people you can talk to learn more about how things are here, the way they work. You can decide for yourselves whether or not our system needs to change, and bring your thoughts before the king. He kind of looks over at the young couple and he says, I don't see what other option we have.
Why don't they just leave?
And go where? Everything here is this city, and there are other civilizations like this one connected to us politically, but they're hundreds of miles away through dangerous ocean. They could run to the surface, I suppose, but where could they go? They're so different than anyone else who lives up there.
To learn hundreds of years of your society and your community, and to shorten it into less than 24 hours is going to be quite a task for us to judge.
Yes,
we can certainly help, but if it's to help spare your life and hers, Zack, we will willing to. I know we can help. We can at least try to help. Wonder if that.
He says, I understand it's a tall order, but I ask that you do the best you can. And he says again, there are those you can speak with who can help you to understand things better. Before I started working this case, there were things about the way things are done here that even I didn't quite understand, and they helped me. He kind of looks over at the prince again, and he says, you can begin by speaking with the young Tritonus. His perspective on this matter is unique as well, coming from amongst the most privileged in our society. He says there's also a librarian at a library of histories within the same district of the city. He could certainly answer many of your questions. He kind of takes out a ink pen and writes down some directions to the building as well as a name, and he hands them to Dowroc, because Dowroc's been doing most of the talking. And he says, all I ask is that you try. He does say, though, also, he says, either way, if what the king said is accurate, once you have participated in this, you'll receive the staff from him one way or the other. It's not as if your stake in this is too great.
I mean, but yours is, and we'll treat this as seriously as possible.
Kind of nods and thanks you, and says, well, that you don't really have any other time but now. Please, as I said, speak to the prince first, and we'll go from there.
Seems animal friendship to charm a fish instead of fish charmed us.
I mean, the animal friendship thing would have worked, and that's probably how I would have expected you guys to do it, something like that. But like, the plan was always that after you got a couple of these done, the other locations would start being more open to you.
Yeah.
So like, if you would come here first, for example, that's probably how you would have had to do it.
Instead of fighting a dragon turtle. Which I'm glad we didn't have to fight. Freaking Dragondale.
Yeah.
Why? They're fun.
They're very territorial. And they're very deadly.
I mean, I'm not saying you won't still have to fight it. We'll see what happens.
Oh my god.
Okay, so you were talking to Finn Blake, the advocate guy, and he kind of threw a Hail Mary pass by dragging you guys into this situation. And now he suggested that you. There's not really time for you to form like an actual legal argument or whatever. So he suggested that you talk to a few different people and to kind of get an idea for the way things operate in their society and the history of this whole like slave caste thing. He mentioned a librarian, the prince who is in the room with you right now, and the court wizard Aravarus Juts, the fish guy. Locatha. I can never remember what they're called.
The fish guy.
But like not like he did it on purpose, but like you guys would notice he didn't mention the girl as someone to talk to.
You talking about like the one that's trying to get married?
Yeah.
Or like get with? Okay.
Like if you want to mention,
he didn't give us a list.
Mention that at all.
Yeah.
Because she's still sitting over next to the prince.
I guess I'll just ask. Well, Lloyd will just say, "Well, what about her?" And I'll just point at her.
He Mr. Blake. He's very distracted. Like he's constantly thinking about this entire situation. You can tell. He looks over and he kind of catches himself. He's like, yeah, you should talk to her too. Sorry, as much as I am trying to change things, even I overlook people like her sometimes, I guess.
Not a problem, says Zack.
He says, though, if you do talk to her directly, she may not have much to say just because she is used to other people speaking for her.
Mr. Blake, the first thing you should probably do to change people's minds is not forget about them. It's probably one of the first things you guys should probably fix is.
And he kind of nods. He's like, I know, and it is something I'm working on.
Because, remind me again, so the prince and the girl are trying to get together. Mr. Blake is the, I don't want, like what, attorney basically? The dude who came into the throne room, right?
Yeah, so the girl used to, you assume, work for the royal family. Well, and she's a member of, like, their slave caste.
Right.
According to like the basic rundown that Mr. Blake gave you guys, like as a matter of honor, people like her are treated very well in their society, but they still don't get to, like they still have to live this life. There's no choice.
Yeah.
And you know that's a matter of honor, but that doesn't mean people still don't abuse that behind closed doors, right? But either way, she and the prince fell for each other, and the prince tried to use kind of his authority to like make it all right for them to be together. But the king is sticking to the letter of the law, which says that she can't marry outside of her caste, and because she and the prince have engaged in this romantic relationship and they've become engaged, she's to be put to death. Not him, okay. Not him, just her.
Right, just her.
And Mr. Blake, who used to be part of the city police force, basically, but years ago stepped away from them because he didn't want to keep upholding the status quo. He now acts as like an independent investigator. And he has agreed to use his legal knowledge to try to speak on their behalf, but just to get the king to listen, he had to accept the same fate as the girl, whatever it ends up being.
Okay. All right.
Well, was that set, Mr. Blake? Was that set by the king, or was this by a council?
Was what the
the same judgment as her and him.
He says, well, perhaps foolishly, it was in a way set by me to prove to the king that I was serious about this and to compel him to hear our case in his court. I claimed that consequence, and he has held me to it.
So is it the king who is going to pass judgment on this, or do we have to convince the whole court? Nobles.
His queen and his wizard advisor have some sway over him. That's why I put Mr. Jutz on the list of people you should speak with. But
which one's the court wizard, right?
Yeah,
Mr. Jutz.
But ultimately, it is the king's decision.
So we just have to convince the king ultimately, then, but we might all influence him through the others.
And the king, just as a reminder, did make it a condition to getting the staff. If you participate in this, you get the staff. It doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter in what way you participate. Just when it's over, you get the staff.
Lloyd will just kind of say, well, we better make this quick since we're on quite a bit of a time crunch. Because it should still be the 10 days, right? Because the next day would have been the day that they originally would have had their convening. Mm-hmm. Or they got moved to the next day, I mean.
Yeah.
So how many people is the list of people this week?
There's 3 and then 4, including the girl.
Yeah.
So, librarian, prince, which the prince and the girl are right there.
Yeah.
The librarian and the court wizard, though. Court wizard, I assume we'd have to go get an audience with. The librarian, I'm not 100% sure yet, unless something was said and I forgot.
No, when you guys decide to head that way, Mr. Blake will kind of give you an idea of where to go.
Okay.
And if we split up, we can do...
Well, that's what I was thinking, yeah. I was thinking it might be a good idea to split up then, just to cover more ground right now.
Not a bad idea. So who do you want to put... where, then?
What do we know anything about the librarian or the court wizard?
Just Mr. Blake mentioned the librarian has a really solid understanding of the history of their society, and you guys met the court wizard back in town. He's the one who escorted you in. He seemed kind of.
Oh, never mind. He was the.
This man.
Yeah, he seemed nice enough.
Right.
Kind of out of it.
He's the one who brought
nice
us
enough.
down here, right?
Yeah.
That guy. Okay. I think initially, it would be a good idea, unless people have any objections. I think Dowroc, unless you have preference, but Dowroc and maybe Val, maybe the librarian, just because they're the smarter members of the group, and since they're talking about all the history and everything about it, that might be a good idea. Lloyd should not be left alone, so he will.
I don't know if you leave him alone long enough in the right places, this problem might solve itself.
The problem may solve itself. Let's see. Who do we have with us? We got Dowroc, Bren, and Zack.
Brandon's jack of all trades, pretty much.
Okay.
For any kind of skill checks or anything like that.
I think she would be good, in my opinion, with maybe the prince and the girl, just because like she's a young girl and stuff, so she might be able to like speak better with them, or like maybe they like, oh, it's a so.
Drop your guard.
Let's see. So Dowroc, Val. I'll say Zack and Lloyd can go to the court wizard. Who else do we have? So Dowroc, Val, Bryn, Zack, Lloyd.
I think Megan's still wandering around.
Oh, Megan. I was like, I know I'm missing somebody. That just didn't seem right. All right.
Yeah, she's over in the corner messing with Mr. Blake's like decorations.
How about
here's somebody mention her name and looks at her finally.
How about actually, you know what? Just to change things up. All right. Does anybody have? Actually, Dowroc, do you have any suggestions? I have an idea of who I would send to each place because there's 6 kind of us, so we can 2, and 2 because the prince and the girl are kind of a one and the same. So.
Val's good with going to the library. She likes libraries.
Yeah, so I figured Dowroc, Val to the librarian, Bryn and Megan to the prince, and Zack and Lloyd to the court wizard.
Yeah.
Unless anybody has objections, that's where I think maybe
And I'll bring Igo.
rate-wise might be the best. Igo can probably... What? Are you leaving Igo with Bryn or Dowroc?
I'll bring it with Dowroc, just because I feel like if we do get in trouble, Igo can protect Val.
Okay. And I feel like you probably get the sense that Megan could easily...
Yeah.
hold her own for if something happens.
Yeah,
with Bryn.
even if there's somebody that Megan can't beat, she's not going to go down quickly.
Yeah.
Bryn can deal massive amounts of damage if she rolls 20. So if she gets
Zack will ask Mr. Blake how far, because I assume this underwater town's obviously not humongous, so it doesn't probably take us terribly long to go to each of the spots.
I mean, the castle is like a 10-minute public transport ride back. He says in the library, it's the one I use. It's one of the reasons I bought up this building. It's just 3 blocks down and around the corner.
Okay.
Kind of points you in the direction. He said you can't miss it. It's the biggest building on that street.
All right, then I'll just suggest that we each go to our spots, get the information that we have, and we meet back here within, let's say, an hour or two, depending.
All right. And where would you guys like to start then?
Librarian. Let's go librarian first.
All right. So as Dowroc,
That's just the first one I wrote down.
as Dowroc and Val make their way onto the street, they kind of take in the bustle of the city. It's both quiet and noisy at the same time. There's not a lot of people in your immediate vicinity, but the ones who are shuffling along with like either in groups or they have like they're shopping for the day or the like, and you can hear carriage wheels in the distance, rolling along the uneven stone of the street. It's now that you kind of settled in down here, you notice it's like surprisingly dry. Aside from as you kind of make your way down, you'll see like little canals kind of weave out of some of the alleyways heading towards water features and some of the public squares. But for the most part, people down here don't really live all that differently than people up on the surface. And yet the entire area seems a little gloomy, since there's no illumination aside from that weird greenish glow. And you do notice people watching you. Like, as you pass by, people will stop and they'll look before they kind of catch themselves and move on. And you're not entirely sure if that's just because you're outsiders and they don't see outsiders very often, or if that's because you came from the office that you came from. Is if Mr. Blake really is trying to make this big wave, it's possible that he isn't extremely well received.
Yeah.
And Val will even point out the fact that people keep stopping to look, almost mentioning it under her breath, being kind of reserved as she is. It's just the kind of thing that she takes notice of.
And Dowroc will look at her. I'm going to say back to her, because it must be because of my strikingly good looks.
She laughs a little bit and says, "Must be." After a couple minutes, though, you do come to the corner that Mr. Blake referenced, and you turn it and you see just like 3 facades down, there's a particularly large building. And that must be the library. So Val's going to kind of pick up the pace, head inside.
If you can remind me, the towers, were those all children's books? Because I know that you said there was one that, like there are the one specifically the fire one. I'd like to bring up like like as a conversationalist.
Did you guys read the fire one? I don't even remember. What do I have on the fire one? Hold on. I mean, mentioning it, she'll say, "It's weird. I've been thinking about that one since that's obviously where we're going to be heading next."
Yeah.
It's in the south, but it's past the area that the elves had to evacuate all those years ago. And I didn't know anyone had ever lived in that area before, at least not permanently enough to have some kind of connection with one of the pillars of the world. So I don't really know what to expect. Even the dossier that we got from the king, I read through the part about the fire tower. It mentions that it would be either that volcano there in the southeast part of the map, or within it, perhaps. But all the dossier said was that there could be bandits in the area, and that we'll have to receive special permission to fly over that region, just like we did Corwood. But nothing about any people living there.
Well, that's probably the safest place to put a magical tower is inside a volcano.
Yeah, I agree. It could. The only worry I have is that if there are no people, if there is still a staff, will we have to search for it? Will it be a race against Blackheart's people to find it? And what happens if it's somehow in the volcano itself? We may not be able to retrieve it.
Depending on the situation of the volcano, I can just I have an hour. I can withstand that heat for about, never mind, 10 minutes.
Well, regardless, I'm sure we'll figure it out. We've done well enough so far.
It's always, as soon as you came to us, it's been race against him anyway, so.
She kind of looks, I don't know, ashamed, and she says that's true.
Well, it's not your fault. We were looking for Johan anyway, and the only lead we have is Blackheart.
I know, but when trouble arrives everywhere you go, eventually you start to think it is your fault.
I have been actually meaning to ask. We've been rebuffing his allies. Do they get punished if they come back empty-handed?
I think they will if this plan fails. But ultimately, from what I understand, he's actually pretty good to them. The primary reason they follow him is because, again, this is just what I've been able to work out, but I think he intends to try to remake the world. And he has promised them some say in how it will end up.
The world. I mean, it doesn't seem very productive to do it that way.
There may be no other way to do it. At least not as far as he's concerned. No other way that would ever change things so completely that he'd be okay with it.
Well, if there was a way that he could see how we're trying, our mission right now is pretty much to release hundreds of years of slavery within 18 hours. So
it is.
If you could be here and see us, what we're doing.
It is interesting. I had thought of this as well. It is interesting that in compelling us to go on all these different journeys, he has, in many ways, been inducing the same sort of change that I think he wishes to see. Though I also get the sense that he won't be happy unless
it's him doing
it, and unless he still remains in power when everything is over. Well, I don't think he would be an inherently cruel master. And she kind of looks around and she says, I think maybe he would be something like the people here. They treat their slaves very well, but they're still not free.
Shall we see what this librarian has to say?
Yes, I think we should. She kind of pushes her way inside. You go inside, and there's like the building supports, particularly the more decorative interior ones, are made of like the same coral-like material as the castle. But there's also like wood or something like it, and like sea stone making up like the more structural parts of the building. But the building is pretty big. It's like flat in the front, but it's kind of rounded near the back, with shelves of books lining the back wall and rows of tables, and even an upper floor section with more books. And there's like a dozen or so people in here reading or like sorting through the shelves. But as you come in, there's like an entry area, and then separating that from like the library proper, there is a desk kind of sat a little off to the right, and behind it you see an elderly man. He looks to be maybe the same race as Mr. Blake, and when you come in, he smiles at you and says welcome.
I was looking for a children's book for my daughter. What was that title again? Referring to the Fire Tower book.
I don't know that I ever titled that one, because that's not one of the ones you guys needed for the code.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Nick making it difficult.
I have notes on them somewhere. Like I wrote them all. Like wrote a bunch of them down.
So convenient to have a little girl NPC with you to make breaking the ice so much easier.
Well, you mean Bren, or?
Yeah. Just making the lie convincing because it's half truth.
Let's just say it's in the same one as the...
I didn't know if it was a separate book or if it was a collection.
Well, I mean, they were in different books, but each book was a collection of stories. Which one of these? Where is it? God damn it.
Way to go, Nick. You made the DM mad.
DM is mad at himself. It's fine. Let's say it's in the same one as the inverted tower myth was, the mountain myths, since it's a volcano. He says that would be quite the old tome from before the Great Sinking. I'll have to check, and he kind of motions over another employee and like whispers in her ear and sends her off. If we have it, she'll be back with it in a moment. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Just your general thoughts about it. Like, do you know the stories?
Oh no, there are too many stories in here for me to know them all off the top of my head.
We just came from the outside. We just we're kind of new here, and we were able to come down here due to the king's invitation. So
he says yes. Word has already gotten around about you, the visitors from the outside, who, if the word of the rabble is correct, were seen heading into Mr. Blake's office. You should know that the average person down here would be put off by such a sight. I'm not one of them, but just to keep you appraised, you may not get the most hospitable welcome from everyone.
Well, that's good to know, and thank you for letting us know. About the warring there. Has it ever gotten violent with Mr. Blake? Has it ever gone to that? Have people ever gone that far?
He says, well, as with anyone who is trying to change things, when the average person is comfortable with the way they are, he has found himself in conflict occasionally, and there have been times when those conflicts have gone beyond the verbal. But Mr. Blake is quite capable of taking care of himself, and as soon as his harassers see that, they tend to move on.
Well, that's good to hear that. And Dowroc will get his voice will go low, like only him and Val could probably hear him in the librarian. It's like, so what do the people think of the prince doing what he's doing?
He says,
I know they probably wouldn't dare to speak out, but there's, even if, like, in this quiet place, even within less than an hour we've been here, you've already heard about us.
He says, the average person doesn't tend to say much, but what I've heard, they have this very self-important way of talking about how much of a shame they think it all is, that he would throw that girl's life away for absolutely nothing. I think they misunderstand the entire situation. I don't see why such a stigma should exist. But they seem to take it as everything would have been fine if the prince and that young girl had simply never felt anything for each other.
No.
I could tell you though, and he kind of leans in a little bit more. He said, I guarantee if the prince were to share her fate, people would be upset. They simply don't care because they don't consider her to be important enough. And those who even know about Mr. Blake's situation,
His fate is tied.
they still don't care because he, as far as they're concerned, he is making the problem worse, he says. But
do you think the prince would go that far? Do you think the prince would go that far for her?
And he kind of looks around again, and one of the other employees is even kind of on their way over, and he kind of shoos them away. He says, the fact of the matter is, the loudest people are often the ones who feel it is most necessary to reinforce their opinions. I think the average person, their apathy towards this situation extends to the point that if things did change, they also wouldn't mind. And there have been whispers amongst the more progressive that perhaps the prince should just take power for himself.
Oh.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think perhaps that would be taking things too far. But I can understand the sentiment. This system has been in place for a very long time, largely unchanged. So I can understand why people might have gotten comfortable. But change always comes. It's just a matter of how difficult it makes things when it arrives.
And have you been helping Mr. Blake? Like,
I have. He asked me to provide him with any documentation regarding legal precedent for situations like this occurring. And there are some old stories of noblemen whisking away young disenfranchised women who, depending on your reading of the story, could be a member of that lower caste. But nothing that is definitively true or sets a standard.
if the prince hid this fact, but it was kind of like an open secret, how do you think that people would respond if no one had known in the first place?
There would be dissenters, of course. But again, I don't think the general populace would have cared. It was really the insistence of that pair to
Make it open.
to make it open in public that really led to this situation. I think, and I could be wrong, I think it's possible that the prince never much considered the condition of the lower caste until he started to spend so much time with one of them and got in his mind that he should take a stand that perhaps our society wasn't ready for him to take.
Well, Mr. Blake had told us to come to visit you regarding this matter.
Mr. Blake seems the type who would attempt to enlist the help of outsiders when the rest of the people around him seem to have failed him.
And I'm glad we were able to show up in the right time, at least.
And, well, I don't know the extent of your involvement, but if you can help, I'm glad for that as well.
Was there anything we could take that you had all ready that we can bring back to Mr. Blake?
Oh no, he has everything pertinent to the situation that I had access to already.
And so, how do you feel personally about the servants being freed? Do you have any servants yourself?
Oh no, my family's not important enough for that kind of thing. I of course benefit. There are those amongst that caste who help to maintain the city, so it's not as if I don't get anything out of it, but frankly, I guess you could say I hope that everything works out. I'm not as passionate about it as some are, though.
So when you say you're not important enough, so it's only nobility and upper class that use the system?
Or those who are wealthy enough to procure such things.
And,
my life is a fairly humble one.
And is it forceful servantry, or is it voluntarily? Like if somebody has a debt they need to pay off, do they volunteer themselves, or is it just a way for the high society to quote unquote give them a life to live to the down?
He kind of rubs his fingers through his beard, which looks kind of like seagrass.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, there are certainly stories in the past of people with nothing else who entered into that caste of society willingly, but for the most part, you're born into it. And while it is possible, if you live long enough and well enough, you can be released to live out your own life as you would see fit. It is not an option that many take, as having spent their entire lives beneath another, living in their home, eating their food, trying to build a life from nothing at that point can be very difficult. They're also still restricted from marrying outside of their caste. It's usually just easier for them to stay where they are.
So
It is. To answer your basest question, it is not voluntary, no. Except in very extreme situations, and even then, there's no way to voluntarily opt out. At least none that's easy.
Well, I think that's the root of the problem right now, is they don't have a choice.
I would agree with that.
If we can't any kind of change at all would be a step forward. So I think if we can give them if we can find out, if we can convince the king to give them at least some small rights and freedom of choice, I think that would be a great step in the right direction. If we can't, I don't think we can, within the time frame of what we have here, of what my companions have, I don't think we can solve the issue of hundreds of centuries of thought process. We can. I'm not going to call myself arrogant enough to say that. So,
either way, I hope your involvement here is to the benefit of as many people as possible.
And Dowroc will kind of go into his bag and say, "Oh, silly me, the book was right here all along. It doesn't seem like I need it after all." Out loud. Like
So,
a higher voice of the group. Anybody listening, trying to listen whenever you hear.
Okay. Yeah. So the guy kind of nods and he says, "Well, in that case, have a nice day," and then kind of goes back to shuffling papers back and forth across his desk or whatever.
I don't think there's any more to glean from that. I hope I didn't stop the conversation.
Oh no, that was good. That was about everything.
Okay.
Where would we like to go next then? Which group would we like to follow next?
Nick, do you want to go next, or you want me to go?
Let's do the brothers who don't know their brothers.
All right, I guess the court wizard then.
Oh, they still don't know that, do they? Jeez,
I
okay.
don't know if Lloyd and I don't know if Lloyd and them had that conversation yet.
I mean, it's kind of come up and passed a little bit. They know that they're related to an extent.
Okay.
All right, so as Dowroc and Val are walking to the library, Zack and Lloyd set out for the castle again. Before they leave, Mr. Blake tells them that they should be able to talk to Mr. Jutz. He tends to be busybody enough that he involves himself in visitors anyway. But because they are taking part in this matter now, they'll be allowed a certain amount of free range around the city to just ask for him if he doesn't show up on his own.
Sure.
And then you guys catch a cart and head back, and it's the same route that you took to get here, just in reverse. You pull back up to the castle, walk up the absurd number of stairs to the door, and when you ask the guards to speak to Mr. Jutz, they kind of direct you off to one of the side wings to a tower made of sea glass woven between bits of that coral-like material. And inside there you find Mr. Jutz working in a laboratory with like beakers and glass, those bulbous glass containers, cauldrons and like hot plates all over the place, a big fire. He's brewing all kinds of crazy shit.
As we walk in, Zack will kind of just say to himself, "Man, Dowroc probably should have came here."
And you do see him. He is just he's kind of leaned over one of the larger cauldrons, looking like he's trying to decide if he should poke at it or go look for a spoon.
What?
But he hasn't noticed you yet.
Zack will just approach and will just say, "Greetings, Mr. Jutz."
And he kind of jumps, almost knocks the cauldron over, and then catches it and burns his hand a little bit.
Oh no!
And then just kind of brushes it off and composes himself, and he says, "You're the outsiders. And I'm surprised to see you back here so soon.
Sorry, didn't mean to startle you.
Oh, no, you didn't. Were you looking for me in particular?
Yeah, actually we were.
What can I do for you then?
Well, we were hoping to learn more about the current, because correct me if I'm wrong, when we went into the courtroom and then Mr. Blake burst in, the court wizard stayed there, right?
Yeah,
When we left.
Yeah,
Okay.
he would have more of an understanding of like the political climate and stuff.
Okay. Well, we were actually just kind of curious, and if you could tell us a little bit more about. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. Do we have a name of the town or the city?
This is just like the sunken city.
Okay.
Is roughly what it would translate to.
Okay. Zack will ask if he has any. We're really just kind of looking for anything that you could tell us maybe about kind of the political status of the sunken city. We were taken away by, I'm assuming you know, Mr. Blake, and told of the situation that's occurring with the prince, and so we were just wanting to learn more about maybe the situation that's going on.
He's kind of nodding along. He says, "Yes, it was noble of you to agree to Mr. Blake's reckless plan. It is of course not the responsibility of an outsider to solve our problems for us."
Oh, not a problem. It's kind of something that we do.
He says, "Yes, you do seem the type. And, of course, you were accepted down here as quickly as you were because you have been proving that throughout the world." He kind of says, "The political climate. It's, well, we have a king, obviously. I believe you still have those on the surface."
Yes, we do.
He says, our king, his rule is hereditary and absolute, but as a matter of honor, our rulers make a point of trying to be as fair as they can be. They are responsible for protecting the realm, not just through strength, but through integrity and stability of rule. And I believe that's why he is taking this matter so seriously. He is genuinely worried what would happen if things were to change suddenly and pull the rug out from under our entire civilization, so to speak.
I mean, what kind of disaster would he imagine would happen if he let his son, right, it's his son that's the prince, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of different. Yeah, so what tragedy would possibly come from his son being with somebody that's not necessarily of nobility?
Well, King Merrick is one to worry in general. If something has an unknown outcome, he will tend to avoid it. But I think if he were to put his concerns into words, he would probably be worried about something like political upheaval, even within his own court, perhaps upheaval in the city and in the other distant cities we're connected to, amongst those who would see this as the beginning of the abolition of our caste system and would not want things to change.
I'm assuming obviously more of the higher ups would be the ones that would not want the change.
Yeah, and perhaps, well, I don't think it would go so far, even leading to civil war amongst our people between those factions that are opposed to change and those who advocate for it strongly. And I also believe, as unfortunate as it sounds, that because control of the what did I call it? Hold on. Just staff of the ocean. Wow, that's creative.
It's fish. You can change it to like a fish word.
I could. Because control of the staff of the ocean is determined through heredity as well. I think perhaps he's worried that marrying a member of the lower caste might somehow dilute their control over the staff and weaken the city.
But I mean, if the king, this is now going to be Lloyd actually, If the king's willing to give up his staff to a bunch of individuals that he's never met and only heard from, obviously he doesn't seem to think that without the staff he would be able to protect his town.
That is a complicated matter. The Avatar, which protects this region, the Ceasefire Manifest, has vouched for you.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, in a situation like this, he wouldn't let the staff out of his sight, but he seems to believe that giving it to you is the best way to protect the city right now, and he would expect to, at some point, receive it back.
I mean, we would have no intentions of keeping it forever, but I will... Sorry, this is Zack again. We had no intention of keeping it forever, but I will say that his thought process of avoiding situations that have no known outcome is both strategic and, unfortunately, not the smartest choices. Because while, yes, avoiding a situation because you don't know the outcome is a good choice because you don't unnecessarily put yourself or your people at risk, but you'll never grow as a society and you'll never empower your people with that kind of mindset.
And Mr. Jet's he looks a little like crestfallen, and he says, I assume that Mr. Blake sent you here to speak to me?
He did.
I think I understand why. You mentioned growth, and it's worth noting that the caste system in our society does not operate on a racial basis. But it once did. My people, we can only spend a short time out of water before we have to return in order to rehydrate ourselves. And in ancient times, that caused those of us who can live their life entirely in or out of water by their choice, that caused them to think of us as inferior. And my people were part of that same caste back before the system was improved enough that life remains fairly good for our slaves. My people were their past was fairly brutal, and I've reminded the king before, and I think he has heard me in his own way, that it was the decision of another brave king during that era that led to my people, while there are still some who are part of the lower caste, being given at least more equal capabilities within our society.
So an older king made a change that was able to help your species go from the lower end to the higher end.
Yes, more or less.
Then maybe perhaps this is the opportunity for more individuals to leave that lower end. Maybe this is the king's opportunity for his time to make a difference.
And Mr. Jets, he kind of glances back at the door and sees that nobody else is there, and he says, "Frankly, I believe it may be, but I think King Merrick may simply be too set in his ways for something like that to happen, and eventually Prince Kai will ascend to the throne and take his father's place, even if things don't go well for his young love. And I believe that his experience with her has made him more receptive to such progress. So it will happen eventually, one way or the other. But I don't know. There are days when, and please don't repeat this, but there are days when I wonder if perhaps that shift in power wouldn't better happen now, so that girl's life wouldn't have to be sacrificed. But I couldn't possibly endorse such a thing, obviously.
No, of course not. I know that saying anything of the nature I know in the earshot of anyone in the court would cause them to have certain opinions about yourself or about you. So do not worry, we will not share that information. But in the same vein, of asking you not to spread information.
But
I will keep your words to myself or ourself. I give you my word that that girl will not die tomorrow, whether or not the king decides to allow this to change or not.
He kind of looks at you for a second, and he just nods and says, "Well, on that note, is there anything else you need to discuss with me today?"
Lloyd kind of Zack says no, but as he turns to start leaving, Lloyd kind of looks at him and he says, "Court wizard, what are your thoughts? I mean, yes, you said that the shift in power would be better now to have the prince take over for the sides to be unified. What other members of the court share your opinion that you know of, and how many of them are strictly against this?"
He looks really uncomfortable. He takes a second, thinks about it, but says, "The king's most devoted soldiers are sworn to him. They will stand with him regardless of what happens, that's for sure. And will have to be replaced by a different regiment should the king be extricated from office, let's say. But I believe that while they perhaps wouldn't assist in such a matter, the rest of the palace staff would keep out of the way." He kind of looks around again and he says, "The fact of the matter is, the pockets of progressive thinking in the city, from what I've been able to glean, are much larger than the king realizes. If there was ever a time for such a change to happen, it would be now."
Zack will perk up a little bit that he just thought of something. He said, What does the queen think of this?"
He says, "Well, Queen Ferrofin is an extremely kind woman. I think she would be in favor of change, but she is also even more devoted to her husband than his personal guard is. Whatever he decides, she will stand with him. I can't imagine, though, that she would ever take up arms against her son."
Zack and Lloyd will thank Mr. Jutz for his time and say we understand, and then head out.
He kind of nods again and just kind of stands there as you go, looking like he's contemplating his life choices because, he just said a bunch of stuff that he really probably shouldn't have.
As they're leaving, Zack notices the look in his face and he says, "Trust me, we will not repeat anything that you said to anyone that would change their mind of you."
He thanks you for that.
So
Yeah, he thanks you for that again. And then, goes back to his work, but you can tell his mind's not really on it anymore.
okay. All right. So that leaves the prince and the girl.
Yep.
Okay. So did you say 3 people? And then she was the 4th? Who was the 3rd?
The prince is one, and then his girl is the 4th one. But they're both still just at the place where we left. So Megan and Brandon,
they're still there.
Yeah, so they don't have to travel or anything.
Yeah, they're just there. I imagine before even starting to ask them anything, because Mr. Blake's there too. He can chime in too if you guys want to involve him in it. I imagine.
What's the prince and the girl's name? I just have prince and girl.
Kai. He refers to himself as Kai.
Prince Kai. Okay.
And then the girl's name is Felfie.
Felfie. Okay. That way I don't have to say girl.
Yeah.
At least prince, I can just say prince, but girl just didn't sound. Okay.
All right.
I'm taking notes, John. I promise I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Well, I've been taking notes, but last week it was
yeah.
last week was a bad week. So poor me.
So I imagine Bryn would kind of be talking to Felfie anyway, because she looks very kind. She's pretty. She seems nice, but she's quiet and keeps to herself. And it's not hard to tell why. And the prince certainly has picked up the habit of kind of speaking for her, though before you really get into the conversation, you'll notice like he tries to catch himself. He's trying to change and like re-educate himself. But it's just like you imagine, since she used to basically belong to him and his family, that's just kind of the dynamic they had always had up until they started to grow closer, you know? But Megan definitely notices it. I don't know if Bryn would too, but she's pretty freaking smart. So, I mean, I would imagine she probably does.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of Bryn. What is the situation on the surface for slavery? Bryn would definitely not know anything besides what she knows, but besides her her upbringing, like being kind of like just a small village.
I think it wouldn't have really been talked about in her home village. It definitely used to exist, but Byzantia is very staunchly against it now. There are still certain factions over in the Orc territories, the more traditionalist Orc factions, that I would imagine still practice it. Probably some goblins that still practice it. She would have learned a little bit about like the fact that stuff like that used to exist but doesn't really anymore when she was learning at the tower. There would have been like general history courses there. But her understanding would be that it was decided that it was bad, and so Byzantia did away with it.
She would have more of an understanding that her town was initially just silently oppressed, I guess. She would come to that realization.
Yeah.
So she would open up with she would probably ask, how do you get your hair to flow that way? It's really cool.
And she just kind of smiles and says, it's just how it works. It's part of the inherent magic of my people.
Wish I get my hair to flow that way. I think I'd look pretty just like you if I could do that all the time.
Well, you're already very pretty.
And she kind of gets all self-conscious and smiles. So it's like my dad's also a prince, so but I don't think he has someone he loves yet.
Kai will actually speak up and say, is he? I wonder how similar our situations are. It's well, and he kind of squeezes Felfie's hand and says, well, certainly my situation is still better. It hasn't been easy feeling cast off by my family for this. It's difficult to stand up for what you believe in, but I knew it wouldn't be easy when I took the stance that I did. And then Felfie will say, we'll just kind of mention, I still wish you hadn't. And he says, I understand, but I just believe strongly in this. I didn't realize what it would cost you.
Well, did your dad get mad when you told him?
Mad isn't really the word. What me and Felfie have is not allowed by tradition. And there are many people who believe that tradition should always be upheld. And my father, as the protector of the people, attempts to advocate for all the people as well, at least as many as he can. And I think he believes that the majority would still want that tradition to remain as it is. But I also, I think my father is too concerned with making things as simple as he can, making a change, even just a small one that could start the big ripple of a larger change in the future, can take a lot of courage. And, well, I don't think my father is a coward. I do think he worries too much that his decisions could be the wrong ones. And so chooses to do nothing as often as possible. So mad isn't really the right word, but I have disappointed him, and I have challenged something that he believes is true. I just wish he would have heard me out more. He kind of looks over at Felfie and says, I worry that the only thing left for me to do is to either stand up to my father more directly or attempt to take the fate of Felfie and Mr. Blake upon myself. And neither choice sounds particularly good to me.
I actually met a few. Let's see here. She did not meet the Human King, and she did not go with us to... No, wait, she did go with us before. Okay. Don't know, have a personal experience within the last couple years is, I've met some pretty powerful people, and I feel that's really rare in my case. Coming from a small village on the top, on the surface, it just seems like all the important people have a lot of different mindsets. Some of them believe that change is bad. Some of them believe in showing actions rather than words, trying to convince. And others are cruel. So I think that everyone is different, but all I know is that for you to declare that you love her, and then for them to want to condemn or want her to die instead of you means that they care for you. But so I personally think that if you show your love for her and truly devote yourself to her, that there won't be any that they may take this situation a little bit more seriously.
He says, I hope so. The problem is, though, my father has agreed to hold court on this matter. I've already told him everything that I thought might sway his mind. I don't know what else I could say to him. Mr. Blake, I believe, has some more to say, and I think he hopes that you and your friends might be able to give some big, heartfelt speech that could change matters even more. At this point, though, I think my father is less concerned with my love than he is with his own. I think there's a part of him that by doing this, he thinks he's protecting me. And that's why I think I may need to take Felfie's place. I think seeing me standing there, even if he still goes through with the consequence that he has put down, and even if my life ends, I think seeing me there in that spot will change him. And he kind of glances at Megan because he knows that she'll understand more than Bryn would. He says, in fact, I believe at this point that the only way to change things, to change the way this society is ruled, that doesn't involve my own death might be quite a bit harder for my father. But that's an outcome that I am not at this point ready to consider. We'll have to see how well court goes before I am forced to make that choice. Klaus, will you stop doing that?
Bryn will be like, well, how did you two meet? Was she assigned to you when you were young, or?
More or less, yes. Felfie worked in the palace, and we have always been about the same age, so seeing as how kept away in that big building all by myself, my father's only heir, I didn't have many other people to play with, so we've always sort of been friends. And then eventually, as we grew, our fondness for each other grew as well.
That's so nice.
As it really is. Even if things end as I fear they might for me, I'm still, when he kind of glances over at Felfie's, I'm still very glad that we've had this time together.
Do your parents work at the castle too, Felfie? Or is this more of, I didn't know if you have parents? She
says yes, they used to. They aren't with us anymore.
I don't think my parents died my parents died too, so I was really glad that my dad came when he did. He adopted me when a bad man destroyed my home.
Kai and Felfie both offer Bryn her sympathies, but then Felfie says, "It's good that you found new people, though. That's very important."
Yeah. Have you and the king and queen ever spoke with each other, like privately about, or are they just? I just wondered if they ever told you anything, if they accept you. They might not want to do it in person, but like in public, but privately.
You mean like the girl? Kyle kind of saying, unfortunately, they haven't. We kept our relationship secret for a long time, and the moment that we attempted to make it public, he sounds regretful. He says, I made the mistake, I believe, of doing so very publicly in court, in front of other citizens. And since then, my father has refused to talk to either of us.
Very romantic.
And my mother has deferred to his judgment and kept her distance as well.
I mean, I think that if they got to see her like as you do, I feel that they might it might affect their judgment too, instead of just going by what she is, what society has, or what your people has marked her as.
Kai says perhaps they would, and I think that's why my father is so dead set against something like that happening. He says, no, I think in order to get him to acknowledge me at this point, beyond the situation that I've created, would be to force him to see me. And he still seems like really put off by the idea, you know. At this point, Megan's going to kind of step back and let them keep chatting a little bit, and she's going to sit down next to Mr. Blake and just kind of share a look with him, because they both kind of know what the prince is suggesting, and she's trying to gauge, I guess, how on board with that idea Mr. Blake is, but she doesn't actually ask him or anything yet.
What she's gonna ask Felfie again. She's mainly trying to get her to open up without the prince interfering is what she's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back in just 1 second.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you have friends, Felfie? What do they say about this? Have you, I'm sure there are others in the castle that you've spoken with.
She says, well, the others who work in the castle like I did, None of them were really my age, so I never really grew close to many of them. They have also sort of created a distance from me at this point. Ever since they started to realize, I think, that the prince and I were together. I don't know what they would say if I had time to really sit and talk with them. But now I'm being kept from them, sequestered away here, and until this matter is closed, I'm unable to really interact with them at all.
So, you never really had anyone to speak to besides him.
She says, it's not as if it has only ever been us. There were others amongst those who worked in the palace who cared for me, helped me with my problems. It was just more that rather than being very close to anyone, I was loosely associated with many people who helped raise me.
Oh.
And she says it honestly hasn't been a terrible life. I feel like I am perhaps better off than many like me because of where I've worked, being in the castle. But even though I have had people, I still have never really felt free. It hangs over me that I can't make my own choices, really. And all of this has just been a reminder of that. And she kind of looks over at Kai and says, and says, my prince is willing to die for me. And I keep trying to get him to understand that I am willing to die for me too. Because I do think that given the attention that this whole situation has garnered, even the death of someone like me could rouse people, and that might be all that our society needs.
Now that seems a very silly song. For me, at least, it sounds very depressing. I mean, I don't think anyone. I mean, the prince would definitely not be happy, and then the people who care about you would definitely not be happy about that way of change.
And that's why I hope it doesn't come to that.
Do you think that the people, your friends, would come to defend you?
Perhaps, but
Do you know of people that who have thought, and she's going to direct to the prince. Do you know of anyone that would come to bat for you two in the court, but that have been silent so far?
Felf, he says, I doubt any more like me would have the courage to do so. At which point the prince speaks up and says, I think Aravarus Juts, the court wizard, might be willing to stand up for us. I'm not sure in what capacity. There may be others, but I fear that only seeing the actual consequence of all of this in front of their eyes will be enough to cause them to take whatever stance they will.
I know if I had friends, that would back people that I care about. If I was about to be killed and someone I loved was about to be killed before my very eyes, they would definitely move to protect me, even if it was against someone as important as a king.
And the prince just kind of nods, but he doesn't really say anything to that. Felfie doesn't either.
And I think they would actually move to protect strangers. That's just the kind of people they are.
The prince kind of looks past Bryn at Megan, and she nods a little bit. Then neither of them still really says anything. And I think if Bryn tries to ask any more questions or anything, they'll like gently change the subject at this point.
Bryn, she has a high passive insight that knows that she isn't going to get any more. So she's just like, well, can you teach me how to do that with your hair?
Felty kind of smiles again and says, "I don't think I can, but I'm sure if it can be done, you'll figure it out."
Well, I mean, I'm pretty smart. I can probably understand if you talk.
All right. Well,
anyway,
adorable banter aside.
Yes.
You guys kind of bum around there a little bit longer, and then the other two groups return. And now that everybody's in place, I assume you all catch each other up on what was said, right?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
No, don't keep.
When Zack and Lloyd fill in everyone else, he'll say, kind of toward the end, he'll say, you know, obviously, as obvious as it may be, the court wizard, Mr. Jutz, doesn't want this information widely known. So if we go somewhere else to ask anybody, or I did give him my word we weren't going to use his name, unless, you know, he comes first, obviously.
Kai will say, "I'm surprised that Mr. Jutz was so open with you. He must be more concerned with this situation than he's been letting on in public. He's always been a good man. I wondered if he might support me if he were given the chance."
I believe that Lloyd will actually say, he's like, "Oh, I believe that if the chance were to come up, he would support you."
And Kai will kind of say, "Felfie doesn't love the idea, but if things go as we expect, even after my father renders his decision, we'll be given some time. If he refuses to accept me in Felfie's place, and in place of Mr. Blake," and he kind of nods across the room at him, I may decide to take action against my father. I don't know what other choice I would have. Unfortunately, this has all happened so fast, I haven't been able to seek any amount of support from the general people. And with the day almost over now, I can't imagine where I would find such support on such short notice with court being held in the morning." And he kind of looks at everybody in the room and he says, "As much as I don't want to ask this, if it comes to it, would any of you stand with me against my father?"
Lloyd will be the first one to speak up, and he'll say, "Yes, you can. If it comes to that, you can count on me," as he kind of looks around at everyone else. And Zack just kind of reluctantly says, "Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but if it does, if we do have to stand up against your father, it needs to be known that we need to take the fewest casualties as possible from an altercation between them."
The prince says, "Absolutely."
Unfortunately, we don't know how we'll respond in return, but it's something that we may have to end up trying to do.
Megan's definitely up for it. She doesn't like bullies.
Mr. Dowroc will ask, "Mr. Blake, during this campaign, I know from what we saw with the others is that we were getting a lot of looks while we were exiting your place of business. Have you ever thought of, I know it's a bit late, but you seem like a smart enough person to come up with like some sort of like petition, like people who don't want the prince or do what would support them in this?"
He says, "I wish I had. It would have been smart to get something like that going as soon as this whole situation came up. But it did happen so fast. This has all occurred over less than a week's time. And I focused on other things first, and now there just isn't the chance." He says, Unfortunately, with as ingrained as all of this is into our society, even those who do speak up for change tend to do so secretively. I'm not even sure I would know where to find any of them. even if I do suspect that their voices are louder than they often appear.
How is the proceedings going to be this time? Is this open to the public, or is this going to be private?
I imagine it'll be closed. I doubt we'll be allowed to take weapons. In fact, it would be safest to leave our weapons here. But as Prince Kai mentioned, it is customary for a sentenced person to be given a bit more time to say their goodbyes. That's even been true of members of Felfi's caste. So I think if it came down to it, we would have time to retrieve our equipment and then return, should we have to stand against this outcome. But in whatever happens, I intend to follow Prince Kai's lead.
Do you know what kind of magical defenses that they have in the courtroom, or where we would be? Something that would prevent magic from being used?
As far as I know, there isn't anything like that.
Good.
He says, after all, the king draws his power from magic, the queen as well. If they would be less able to defend themselves if such defenses did exist. But who knows?
Will the king, like, how is this hearing going to work? Do they have like some sort of crier on the noble side, or is the king just hearing us out?
The king,
basically, is it like a courtroom?
the king will speak his perspective on the matter, and then he will ask for myself and the prince to say anything that we haven't yet said on the matter ourselves, which admittedly isn't a lot. Then he will ask for the foreign arbitrators, that would be you, to speak your piece on the matter, and he will consider your words with everything else and then make his decision.
If only we had allies on the inside.
I mean, we have the court wizard. He seems like he's for change and everything. Now, whether or not he would actually react to anything without somebody else doing something, I don't think he would take it upon himself to do something.
Kai says, no, I don't think so either, but he may choose to stand with us if something does occur. And he kind of reiterates the point from earlier that he doesn't think his mother would fight against him, at the very least.
Do you know how many individuals that the king will have potentially at this get-together, or this court?
Yeah, they can't be sure.
Because obviously I assume the area is not humongous or anything, but I imagine he would have quite a few of his higher-ranking individuals there just in case something were to happen.
He says, I can't be sure, but you're right. I think my father would be prepared for things to go wrong in a situation like this. I think for some time after he renders his decision, he will keep the court well staffed.
Lloyd will ask, when's the last time that you have seen the king in a combat situation? Like, when's the last time his power has kind of been assessed? Is he more just a figurative head, or does he actually have power behind him?
And
or does he rely more on his troops?
Prince kind of thinks for a second, and he says, let me put it this way. The magic that keeps us hidden from the surface also holds in a lot of dangers that would make their way up there, but instead end up here. Large, powerful creatures. My father rises to defend the city from all of them himself.
Without any assistance from any of his court?
Occasionally, but he rarely needs it.
At what point tomorrow is the hearing? Is it more toward the early morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you would expect it to be over at latest, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dowroc is going to put a final nail in the coffin and say, well, I hope that the proceedings aren't interrupted by anyone from the group that is coming after the staff also. Oh, did we not mention that? Yeah, there's a group of 4 people coming after these staffs too. And they've developed a fun little, what's the word? A fun little trick of getting places that are impossible to get to. So we'll see how that goes.
The prince says, hopefully you're wrong about their imminent arrival. I wouldn't want this situation to become any more complicated than it already is, frankly. I'm not sure how I would deal with such a thing.
Well, we will definitely point them out, and you can go shoot. You can get frustration out on them all as much as you wish, and we will do the same.
He just kind of nods. It's really not a situation that he can imagine right now.
Dowroc's like, look at him like, okay, sure. just trust me. Whenever someone's needing something to be done, either the next day or something will always come up.
Yep.
Dowroc's getting too genre savvy. I'm gonna have to kill him off.
He's becoming too aware. Kill him.
Take him down.
If we're not careful, he'll start seeing the fourth wall soon.